Welcome to our meeting tonight. This is a meeting of our CISL meeting where we have the wonderful ability to also hear from our students. So thank you for coming. I will start out our meeting, take our roll, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. So welcome to the CISL meeting for today. We are meeting in a hybrid remote format so that we can make accessibility more possible to the public. BevCam is helping us with streaming, so we want to thank BevCam for that. On June 16, 2021, with the Chapter 20 Acts of 2021, which were twice extended and now further extended, local governments and boards were granted provisions to, among other things, hold meetings remotely by suspending the need to have a quorum and chair to be physically present. It asked our body to use technological methods to allow for safe public access, and as a note, Beverly has prior approval for remote participation of members, although that permission, the chair and the quorum will be physically present. So with that, I want to move on and take our roll, and then we'll have our pledge. So I will start with President A. Bell.
Present.
Karen Robinson.
Here.
Aaron Brown.
Here.
Derek Brennan.
Here.
Dr. Peter Cushing.
Here.
Katie Kraft. Patricia Spanks.
She said she'd be
Patricia's
absent.
not here. Okay. Ryan Redmond. I see Ryan's name. Okay, I'll come back. Isaac Bossi. Sadie Brennan.
Present.
Tyler Kochik. Henry Weller. Victoria de la Cruz. Casey Fiore.
Present.
Thank you. And I'll come back and see if Ryan is on the call. Ryan Redmond? Okay. And I'm Kenanne Mackenzie DeFranza. So thank you for that. We will circle back to Ryan. We can see he's logged in. All right. So I'm going to ask Aaron Brown to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I believe the first order of business on our agenda is approving our meeting minutes from our last meeting. Do I have a motion to do that?
I would like to make a motion to approve our meeting records from Wednesday, September 10th.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Are there any corrections to the minutes or edits? Okay. Thank you. So I'll do the roll to all of our voting members on those minutes. Rachel A. Bell?
Yes.
Karen Robinson?
Yes.
Derek Brennan?
Yes.
Katie Kraft? Patricia Spanks? Sorry. I'll circle back to Ryan. I don't know if you can hear me. Isaac Bossi?
Yes.
Sadie Brennan?
Yes.
Tyler Kochik? Henry Weller?
Yes.
Victoria de la Cruz?
Yes.
And Casey Fiore. I know you're
Yes.
just to approve that. Thank you so much. And with that, I will turn it over to Aaron Brown.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We're looking forward to a nice meeting this evening. We're going to start with our student life updates. So if we could start with the high school.
Hello everybody, happy October. So just a few things to go over from the senior point of view. This isn't necessarily senior, but the football team is 5-1 right now, which is super exciting. Homecoming was planned in partnership with the senior class of Beverly High School, as well as the BHS peer leaders, and it was a huge success. We sold out all the tickets, and everyone had a great time. Senior Sunrise was held at Lynch Park this most recent Friday in partnership with Bean Trust Coffee Bar. It was a huge success. They helped give out coffee and pastries for free, and the students definitely loved it. Seniors have begun to have advisory meetings in short blocks to discuss the next steps for college applications, as well as any future endeavors they might be going into for the career field, anything like that. And the spring musical was announced, which will be Freaky Friday. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Isaac Bosse, and I am from the junior point of view. wanted to go over the music department developments. We will be heading to Hershey Park for the annual music department trip. Canning for the trip is starting on October 18th, and the trip is currently filled up, and 10 people are currently waitlisted. It's still up in the air whether a new coach bus will be able to accommodate for the list. If not, those current students will be refunded come the time of the trip. Fundraising for the trip has currently been ongoing with cookie and pie fundraisers and gift card sales. In terms of the class of 2027, the junior prom has been booked, in case people were unaware, at Black Swan Country Club in Georgetown on May 8th or 18th. In terms of fundraisers for the class, there is an upcoming Halloween cookie fundraiser scheduled for Thursday and Friday at the end of October. And PSATs are just around the corner, October 23rd in the morning. Anyone registered for the PSATs needs to go to the auditorium for advisory block on Friday. Blue Book and Khan Academy are also have practice tests available for anyone who wants to get used to the tests.
Great, thank you very much. Oop, Dr. Cushing, would like that.
I'd just like to make it clear for any pies, cookies, or anything like that. Happy to help support and help fundraise. I'd also like to say more seriously, though, that let's find a way to make sure that, and by let's, I mean let us, find a way to make sure that no one's refunded and everyone goes, because for the band field trip. And happy to sit down with whoever I need to, but I want to make sure that if a student wants to go, we find a way.
Ms. Robinson.
I just wanted to say that I'm just really impressed with the energy of the senior class and all the exciting events. Just to see so much joy, like with the shirts and the just pulling off a homecoming, a successful homecoming. That's a big deal, and you guys are really doing a terrific job. So just keep up the good work and keep having fun. Yeah, have fun in your senior year.
Dr. Cushing.
Could I piggyback on that? Because it was so impressive. And, you know, most people think I might just say the football team, but no. I was so impressed with how many people were out for the night soccer game to support their peers. And I'm really excited for when Freaky Friday comes around, and I'm blanking on what the fall play is.
It's Pride and Prejudice.
Thank you. Thank you. I was God, man, I have, whew, I apologize. The teacher in charge told me what it was. I'm sorry I forgot, but I'm so excited to see that and really hope everybody comes out and also supports the way that I've seen, and the simple fact that during those two home football games and even the one versus Haverhill, like there was a crush of students, and it's just really good to feel that part of student life, and I hope it spills over to all the other areas beyond athletics.
Thank you.
If we could turn to our middle school students and their reports.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me this evening, having me talk. Currently in civics, we're learning about rights as a citizen and how to become a citizen through naturalization or other processes. And in English, we started reading a book called The House on Mango Street, starring a young girl named Esperanza. And in French, we just finished a unit on historical sites, tourist attractions, and metro lines in Paris. The cross-country team competed with Gloucester last week, with BMS runners first across the finish line in both boys and girls races. The upcoming meets will be in Danvers, Ipswich, and Lynn. Now here's the blurb from 7th grade. This is from a 7th grade student. 7th grade feels really different from 6th grade because we have 5 core classes now, and the work is definitely harder. There are a lot more kids on our team, which is cool because I have classes with more friends. I kind of miss my 6th grade teachers, but my new teachers are really nice and funny. We don't have recess anymore, which is a bummer, but I like that we get a working snack in the morning. Overall, it feels like we're getting older and more responsible, even though it can be a lot sometimes. And yep, And there will be assemblies with the NAN project who will bring young adults to BMS to speak about mental health awareness. This will educate students on mental health supports and steps to take if they're worried about themselves or someone they love. So yeah, that was the blurb from 7th grade. And yeah. So, Victoria.
Good evening. This is Victoria from 8 Hale, here to bring you some updates. So, since the last time we were here, I'm glad to say that all the initial benchmarks are finished and over with. The jazz band has kicked it off, and our rehearsals are on Thursdays from 3 to 4:45. And in strings, we're preparing for our winter concert. The atmosphere of the school is a pleasant atmosphere, and our classes are running smoothly. In English, we are also reading The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and we are the Independent Reading Book Project is coming up, and I'm excited for that because I really enjoy the book that I'm reading. In civics class, we are learning about immigration, different types of immigrants, what it means to be an immigrant, and soon we will be writing a letter to an important person in the government. Regarding lunch, the 8th grade is glad that we get some more time for lunch. However, there is still room for improvement. And here is the blurb from the 6th graders. 6th graders have started the year learning about the importance about having a growth mindset. We think it is important to learn about having a growth mindset because it teaches you not to give up when something is hard and to think positively about hard things. In ELA, we are learning about what was happening in Copenhagen, Denmark during World War II and what it was like to live there. In math, we are learning how to do ratio tables, and we are also learning about percentages. In social studies, we are learning about the 5 different scientists, the archaeologists, botanists, chemists, linguists, paleoanthropologists, and geologists. As our last subject, science, we are learning about the scientific method. Finally, 6th graders are looking forward to the Boo Bash on October 24th. And thank you for listening to what I had to share, and I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and it's an honor to be here. I'm excited to update you about the school year. In 8th grade civics, we are learning about the naturalization process. In science, we are learning about chemical and physical changes. An example of chemical change is burning wood, and a physical change is tearing paper. This weekend, the band will be playing with the high school band at the football game. And in cross country, we have a meet against Danvers tomorrow. The fall frolic is on Sunday, which some of us are going to be running in. The 5th grade blurb is, in ELA, we are learning about the Nez Perce and how to write informative paragraphs. And in math, we are learning about decimals and how to compare and round them. One of the special events here at Beverly Middle School is something called a Boo Bash. It's a Halloween-themed dance with games, a DJ, and karaoke. Another special event is called house sorting. It's just like Harry Potter, but with 8 houses. And you are in this house until you graduate middle school. Some of the houses are called Salivare, Isabindi, and El Turismo. Being a 5th grade student here at Beverly Middle School can be pretty exhausting, but at the same time pretty fun. Thanks for listening.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you, both the high school and the middle school. I mean, great comprehensive reports, and it's nice to hear not only the activities that you're doing, but the things that you're studying. So I think the whole committee will look forward to hearing about that as we move along throughout the year. So thank you, all of you, both groups, very much. It's an excellent job. I was able to attend last night the summer reading art project gallery display. I think Mr. Brennan, you were there a little later than I was, and that was wonderful. And Miss Abel was there to see all the students' arts based off of the summer reading project. So we have quite a few very talented people, students in our district, and it was great to see all of the families come out and see those presentations as well. So very nice job. Thank you all. Okay, moving on. In our presentation. I was going to talk a little bit about professional development updates. In September 23rd, yes, if you need to leave because you have homework, feel free to leave. I know you have lots of work. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next month. We had a professional development day in September. We have another one coming up in November. And so kind of our theme this year, both Dr. Cushing and I, is Back to the Future. And so we looked at what our possibilities were and how we could look at this professional development day. And back in 2016, we had a create your own professional development day. And we thought, based off of the committee is made up of teachers and administrators in the district, the professional development committee, and some of the data they brought, as well as our own thoughts were, let's give this a try again and see how that goes at the beginning of the year. Oftentimes, teachers have so many thoughts and plans and things they want to do, and not a whole lot of time to do them once the school year starts, and so thought that this would be a nice avenue for teachers to have that opportunity. So they were given free rein in terms of what they wanted to work on and how they wanted to do it. They could do it individually, pairs, or in groups, and they could really work on whatever it is that they were really passionate about and wanted to work on with other people or by themselves. So I asked a couple of teachers to come and share with us tonight just how that went for them and what that looked like, because I like you all to have kind of an idea. Sometimes it's helpful to have people share a little bit about how that day went for them. So tonight we have from BHS, Eileen Marini, she's an art teacher there, and Michelle Braid, an adjustment counselor. And so if you would like to join us up at the table, and you can share just how that day went for you and what you liked about it. And if you just push the green.
There we go. Hi, I'm Eileen Marini. I'm one of the art teachers at the high school. For our PD day, we kind of harken back to that 2016 day where we went out into the community and were able to explore kind of community resources and what we have out there. In 2016, we went to Montserrat. This year, we kind of based it off of our professional practice goal, which is to really represent ourselves as the art department as working artists and showcase our lifelong love of learning and the arts, and to kind of expand our artistic practices. So for our PD day, we went to Score and Slip, a newer clay place in Beverly that one of our teachers frequents. So she kind of got us a little hook up there. We went in, we did some wheel throwing, we learned some new techniques. Some of us very well versed in clay, some of us a little still on the newbie side, but it was great to kind of have everyone getting on the same page and learning these skills because we all, could possibly teach this, so we want to be able to have those abilities. In the afternoon, we went to Lynch Park and we did a little plein air painting and some sketching and stuff. And we were posting kind of on social media all day. And it was great to hear like our students, they're like, we were stalking you on social media. so yeah, we're kind of still planning kind of each of our different avenues as we go through this professional practice goal, what we want to focus on and how we're bringing it into the classroom through like teacher demos and kind of some crossover projects and things like that. So.
Hi, I'm Michelle Braid. I'm one of the school adjustment counselors at Beverly High School. And for the Professional Development Day, we met together as a group of counselors. And one of the things we've been doing, I think we're in our third year now, is a consultation with McLean Hospital. They have a school-based consultation group. And so that is our professional practice goal. So we were sort of looking within that goal, what's an area we felt like we really needed to come together and focus on. And it was suicide prevention and postvention. So we looked at some screening tools, evidence-based screening tools that we use to try to align the tools so that we're using similar screening tools. And then we watched a 2-hour training called Question, Persuade, Refer, about how to offer support around suicide prevention. And we kind of compared that to what we do now with our students, which is a program called SOS, Signs of Suicide. So we sort of looked at similarities and differences there. And then we looked at the Riverside Trauma Center postvention suicide checklist, and tried to come up with our own sort of postvention checklist that we could use. And I think the area where we saw the most overlap with the McLean consultation group is in a set of skills we've been working with them around called distress tolerance skills and kind of crisis management skills. So it was a nice chance for us to kind of come together, sort of align how we respond and support students. So we liked it.
That's great. Thank you so much. I think your two examples show the wide variety of projects and things people were doing across the district on that day. Does anyone have any questions for either of them?
Guess I'll call on myself.
I'm sorry, Dr.
That's okay. I was like, I
Dr.
guess I
DeFranza.
don't know how that works if you're
Sorry.
also chairing the meeting,
I'm used
right?
to you calling on the people.
I know,
so.
it's like calling on me. But thank you for that presentation. I actually had a question about McLean's programs they were doing with the schools in terms of webinars for parents, and there were occasional offerings they had. Are they planning to continue doing that? Is that something that's archived? Not sure how that works.
So the one from last year, I remember they did, but it was difficult to find the best time of day for attendance, but they did offer it as a recording after that. I know there is an email that I received from the woman that does our consultation that there was some training coming up, so I can definitely look into that and share that. But off the top of my head, I can't remember for this year.
It's in his weekly newsletter. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you both, and I think the great use of time on that professional development day, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we have the first grade group of teachers from North Beverly, Holly Staffier, Olivia Burek, and Olivia Lyon, who are going to share what they did on that day as a team. Just push the button back. There we go.
Hello, Holly Staffier, Olivia Burek, Olivia Lyon. We are the first grade dream team at North Beverly. And we want to say thank you to administration for giving us the gift of time on that PD day, because there's always something that you can get to. There's always something you can tackle. So on that day, we tackled the Zern math curriculum, which we've had for a number of years. And what we were able to do that day, because Zern is something that it's very big and very comprehensive. And over the years, we found that in many ways, while it teaches the standards, it also teaches a Zern way as opposed to math. And we wanted to kind of weed out the Zern way and really get back to basics on what the standards were and what our students ultimately need to have, what we want them to have going forward, and building their confidence in math as well. So we were able to backwards plan with what were the standards, what are the goals of each mission, what do the assessments look like, what do we want them to be able to be equipped with when they complete a mission. And in doing that, we then looked at each individual lesson in the missions, and we were able to say, this feels like a duplicate. This feels like a Zern strategy instead of a math approach. And we really were able to weed things out based on what we know of first graders and what's worked in the past and what has really confused everybody in the past and taken away some of that confidence we're trying to build. One example is that our first mission is very, very long. And historically, it's taken us till the end of January, mid-end of January to get through the first mission. There are 6 missions in the whole curriculum. And what we were able to do is eliminate, reduce, combine, reorganize, and we are now scheduled to finish mission 1 by the end of November, which is really going to enhance the amount of time we have for other missions, but it's also very focused in on being able to do that. So throughout that whole day, with popcorn and Rolos and other chocolates, we were able to go through mission 1 through 6 and not so much reorganize, but really reduce and refocus our instructional plan for those missions. Another element that we were able to really look at is what are some of the missing math skills that Zern does not encompass that we really feel are important for first graders to have, and where can we plug those in logically? And we really hadn't had the time to look through all that and make it a comprehensive, logical plan. In doing this, it also allowed us to be very mindful of what we're doing, why we're doing it. Olivia Lyon is new to our team this year, and it allowed her to become very familiar and immersed in the curriculum and what that's going to look like. And it helped all of us to just reaffirm what the standards are and where we want to go with the kids, what the ultimate goals are. We had about an hour left in the day. There were lots of other little things unrelated to Zern that we could have gotten to. But we said, no, we're going to plow through. We relocated to a different part of the building so we could stay focused. And what we did is we pulled Mission 1 and we planned it on a calendar all the way out, each lesson, each day, around holidays, around special events, so that we knew which lessons we were doing, which lessons we felt like we're going to need more than one day for. We pulled the student materials from Zern that would support that. We found our own supplemental materials that would be needed, that we felt would be needed. So we've done that for Mission 1. We've already felt like it's made a significant difference in how we're teaching, how we're preparing to teach, and what the student instruction and learning outcomes have been for that. And just in the past 2 weeks or so, since we've had that in place. So it feels like I said, a gift of time. In the past, I know other math coaches or other people have done this with Zern, and they've given it, they've said that here, this is what you can eliminate this, you can do this. But doing it ourselves made so much more sense. And being able to do it ourselves made so much more sense to us. We own it, we understand it. And that has just been huge. So again, that gift of time. So I thank you. Is there anything else?
All right. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate all the hard work that you've done. And, you know, especially Holly's been teaching first grade now, how many years? 24 years. So she knows first grade very, very well.
Still learning.
Yes.
And there's a lot to learn from new perspectives.
Yeah.
Yesterday, why don't we do this instead? And we're like, why don't we do this instead? So there's a great ramp of collaboration and support between the three of us. So we're going in good places, right? So thank you for this opportunity. And we know what we would do with the next opportunity too. So thank you.
Any questions from the group? Ms. Abel?
I had a question, and you started to answer it for me. The question was a curiosity whether you share what you learned through your PD Day with the other elementary first grade teachers. And I think I appreciate your comment about doing it yourself was the most valuable piece of it, and that other schools perhaps had also done some of this type of activity, but it's the actual doing it yourself.
Being able to really look through it based on our own personal experiences and our own materials really made it more meaningful, as opposed to a list that we had gotten previous that said you can omit lesson this, this, and this, but it didn't tell us why, and we didn't find out, okay, these things are here and we can overlap here. It really made a huge difference doing it ourselves. We'd be happy to share that, but at the same time, I know we gained more doing it ourselves and having that opportunity.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for coming tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Great work. So overall, a very successful day. Dr. Cushing and I were able to get around to schools and see people working on different projects, and they seemed happy to have that gift of time, like they said. With that being said, certainly are there always areas to improve in the future if we were to do this again? Absolutely. One thing that the Professional Development Committee talked about was just thinking about new teachers and their, barriers for them of, they may have never experienced something like this in other districts, or they're just new to the profession, and providing more support for them, as well as people that just might be not sure, like, what should I work on, or, might need some support in those areas. So thinking about that, I think, the staff would always love to maybe do this. And so thinking about how we can support staff in different ways in the future so that everyone feels like they got the most they possibly could out of this day. We have another professional development day coming up in November, and we have some speakers on AI. And one of the speakers was a keynote speaker for us last year. Everyone really had positive things to say about him, and he'll be looking at tools for faculty. That's both in the classroom and then for faculty and planning and so forth. It's kind of the next step. Last year was the introduction, and then he'll be doing the next steps after that, as well as an afternoon speaker who'll be talking about the social emotional implications of AI and kind of talking, giving us some information about that. And then finally, we're also hoping to do some workshops. We have a call out right now for teachers. We always like to highlight all of the excellence going on in our own buildings. And so we have a call for proposals, and we have a bunch of people who have responded, and we're hoping for some more with some excellent ideas on things that they could share in workshop model. People tend to like that. We get positive feedback on those, as well as looking at an ed camp model. We did ed camps many years ago, and that's kind of a model where people get together around specific discussion topics and are able to learn from one another, and it's a little more free flowing. And so we have some ideas around that. There's been some requests for vertical alignment teams, so we can, people who want to talk, ninth grade to eighth grade and fifth to fourth and, 6 and 7, different ideas like that in terms of vertical alignment. But we also, Rachel, kind of talking about what your question is looking at, there's also that idea of grade level meetings, especially elementary based, not especially, but in the past, I'm going in the way back machine because I've been around a while here, but we did do grade level meeting time across the district on some of our early release days. And so there is some question about maybe we'll use that time for that as well, because of just like what they said. When you have implementation of a curriculum, you are implementing with fidelity for several years, and then you have discussion about what are the little things we need to tweak. And we want to be doing that consistently across the board. We don't want to certainly have some students in some buildings learning one thing and different things, because then they come to the middle school and the middle school's like, wah, they all have different skills. We want them to have the similar skills. So, so having those kind of discussions at the grade levels, we're at that point, especially with ELA curriculum and math curriculum from the elementary school point of view. So that is a little bit about the professional development. Any questions on that? I'm sorry, I moved forward. Okay, so moving on to policy review. We had these policies. There really weren't very many changes in the first policy. Let's see if this will pull up correctly on here. I don't know if it will. Yeah, it did. Look at that. I feel good. Peter taught me how to do that. So the first one is teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. And this is the same policy as MASC, as you can see Donna's note on the side. And these are curriculum topics are handled through the health and wellness classes across the district in middle school and high school. So I'll turn that over to you, Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza.
So I have a couple other policies on here that we were going to look at for our first reading. So we have teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. The second one, there was a note here just about maybe the policy wording starts a little differently. I didn't see any major changes on this either. Do you have that one on programs for students with disabilities? There you go. So I didn't see anything that jumped out at me on that one.
Nothing substantial.
No. And then you just had the other one up, which is great.
Yeah.
It looks like here on this policy, we did go ahead and update as we agreed to say parents and caregivers, to change that language from saying just parents. And we also just use a common they pronoun for anyone we're referring to. So those were the major ones there. Thank you, Ms. Bergeron, for making those edits and those notes. And so that's the first look at that. Is there anything else that anyone noticed or wanted to mention on those? Any questions? Yes, Dr. Cushing.
Oops, sorry.
Could I come? Is it possible to make a suggestion on the teaching about alcohol, tobacco, and drugs?
I think so. I remember you had a question about that. So with the suggestion, it sounds like would that come back for our second reading if we wanted to make some suggestions, or could we do that now?
This committee could vote suggestions forward to the full committee.
Okay.
Who would take 2 readings of it, yes.
Okay, so we will take note of those now.
My suggestion would be on this to add nicotine, so alcohol, tobacco, maybe just tobacco / nicotine. Zyn pouches as one brand name product don't actually contain any tobacco, but they do contain direct nicotine. I just refreshed my memory. I've been part of and working previously with regional health directors to on the tobacco-free generation policy of, moving forward for cities and towns to actually ban tobacco sales after a certain point. Given public schools right now, what we're facing with vaping, it's always stunned me that as a society, we pushed back really hard and in a way beat big tobacco. And then we let our guard down and threw the doors wide open for vapes and vaping. So while this doesn't specifically speak about that, I think adding nicotine here might go a long way also.
Okay. Well, we can make a motion to adopt that edit and see how we feel about moving forward with that. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
All right, so we can table that. I want to make sure that there were no other comments on this particular policy.
I'm looking online. I don't see either resident rep with a hand up. We have a motion on the table right now to move forward with the edits as suggested by Dr. Cushing and as outlined. Is that
Yes.
the motion? Okay.
So it doesn't sound like there's any further discussion on that, so we can certainly move forward with voting to adopt that language. Rachel A. Bell,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Derek Brennan,
Yes.
I think, is Katie Kraft? Patricia's still not on the call? Okay. Ryan Redmond? Okay, and, sorry. And then we have our other non-voting members. If you're in consultation with that and agree, I still would appreciate knowing
Yes.
if you have any objections or agree. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that carries, and we will add the note to add nicotine to the list of evidence-based drug prevention programs. So with that, I'm going to close these out, and I'm going to then.
If you wouldn't mind, I actually have a thought on another one of them if we're still, yeah.
Which one, I'm sorry, which policy?
This would be observations of special education programs.
Okay, so that is IHBA.
IHBAA.
Okay,
Yeah. A C on our agenda. Yeah. Yes, that one.
got it.
So just a couple minor suggestions on points number 11 and 12. The first one on point 11, I wanted to suggest removing or reconsidering the language around removing materials. It says staff must be mindful of removing materials which may be part of students' records from plain view in the event of a observation. I think certainly when we're talking confidential information, that's obvious, not really a question. But the language here, students' records, this could include basic academic records and stuff, which, just as an example, like modeling student work or something like that, which could be put on a board in order to encourage students to look at a proper model of what they should be looking at. This is basic instructional practice. That's sort of like the kind of thing you wouldn't want to change in an observation because it actually kind of sends I guess I would say it's sending the wrong message about what kind of instructional practices are used in the program. So if a teacher does actually do that kind of thing, put student work on the board, allow other students to use that as a model, asking that those sorts of things be removed in the same way that you would remove like IEP information or something like that is, I don't think, the same thing. So if we could reconsider the language and students' records there, I think it would probably actually send a more accurate message to parents or other observers about what kind of practices are taking place in a room, in a classroom, or a program in general, I guess I should say. So that was something that I wanted to just present as a way to kind of rethink how that is approached.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Does anyone else have any thoughts about that?
I think the reason why it's in that particular paragraph is just to be mindful, like it says, mindful of removing specific things that are very specific. It kind of gives a opportunity for, if it isn't possible, there's the non-disclosure piece that the observer would have to sign, which would be fine. And I think I hear what you're saying, Casey. I think it's just all the other records that may be available that we have to be careful about. And so I think it kind of gives us a little leeway with a statement after that. But
I guess in terms of encouraging educators to provide the most accurate depiction of the way they typically instruct class, would it be helpful to make it something like students' confidential records from plain view? Just in the sense of like, if we are still encouraging people to not put any student work up or something like that, I don't know, it can be at least creating a sort of an instinct to, change practice.
yep, I hear what you're saying. I think we could add confidential.
Just something to think about.
I think confidential would be appropriate to add that.
All right, so it sounds like we have a motion to add the word confidential before we're using the word materials. Is that right? And then records, removing confidential materials which may be part of students' confidential records.
Yeah.
From plain view. Okay, well, do we have a second on that? Sounds like we had a couple of agreements.
I'll second that.
All right, and no further discussion on that? Okay, well, thank you for that suggestion. We'll take a quick vote. Our group is now half the size. Okay. Rachel Abel,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Derek Brennan,
Yes.
I'm going to skip here, Katie Kraft. Yep. Ryan Redmond.
Yes.
All right, and just confirming agreement with Aaron Brown, Dr. Cushing, and Casey. Yeah, okay, perfect. So thank you for that. I'm also making a note on that for our update before we send it to the full body. Thank you.
I had one more suggestion for number 12 on there too, which was, it says school administrator or designee also will observe at the same time and take notes as to what is observed, paying particular attention to the note. Anything that is non-typical concerning the period, this observation summary will be placed in the student's file and provided to the parents, guardians, caregivers, parents, provided prior to any follow-up team meeting. I actually would just love to include the observed educator in the people that's provided to. So if language could be included, that even just if it's like provided to the parents, guardians, caregivers, parents, as well as to the observed educator or something like that. Yeah, I just think if it's something that's being provided to parents, it's being kept on file, it is very helpful feedback for the educators one way or another, even if it's not evaluative.
I'll second that motion to add, including the observed educators. I'll second that motion to include observed educators.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or discussion on that inclusion? Okay. I do have one question with regard to the language. So does that now happen and it's just not in the policy, or is that also a practice change?
My understanding is that does not currently happen. Mostly the educators are not included in what's shared right now.
Okay. And so that would be not only a policy shift, but that would be some kind of procedural shift as well. Okay. All right. So let's just, again, take a vote on that just to make it concrete on the record. Oh, I think someone might have a question online. I'm sorry. Technology is a little crackle.
Totally agree.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Sorry, we're having some challenges. I'm wondering if you could put your comment in the chat perhaps for Ms. Abel to see. Sorry about that. It's just a little choppy. Or you could even try, maybe if your video is not on, sometimes the bandwidth is a little stronger. Although we love to see the face. Can you try a little? Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, it's still choppy, but we'll look for the chat.
Something.
Okay. We'll give it a couple seconds, just because it may be related to what we're doing, making sure there's any questions.
The comment is, would the report from the observation be part of the IEP record?
From what I understand, it probably already is. As of right now, the language here is this observation summary will be placed in the student's file. I'm assuming with these being sort of part of an IEP process that would be included, but I'm not sure if it would be in the IEP itself.
He's correct in terms of that, whether it would be in there or itself, not necessarily the case, but it would be part of the student record.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Thank you for that question. I believe we might be ready to vote. Are there any other questions? Okay, terrific. All right, so I will call our roll. Rachel Abel,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Derek Brennan,
Yes.
Katie Kraft, Ryan Redmond,
Yes.
and I'm Kanan Mackenzie DeFranza, yes. All right, so thank you. We'll also make a note to add that language to this particular policy. And I believe that is it for our policies, correct?
Did we vote on the IHBA, just program for students with disabilities?
I would make a motion that we move forward as reviewed,
Okay,
IHBA.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson.
Second.
Well, thank you very much on the policies, everyone.
You're welcome. I just want to confirm that we are going to make a slight edit to IHAMB to add nicotine. That we have put forth a motion to mark as read IHBA, Programs for Students with Disabilities. We are going to make a few edits to Observations of Special Education Programs, IHBAA. And I believe with that, we have those policies. So there is only, I think, one perhaps that does not have edits. And so at this point, are we just able to vote and move it on to the larger committee while we hold on to the others? Okay, so it does seem like the others will have to get a slight edit first. So we have a motion on the table to mark as reviewed IHBA, Programs for Students with Disabilities. So I will just call the roll for that. Rachel Abel,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Derek Brennan,
Yes.
Katie Kraft. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Ryan Redmond.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm Kanan Mackenzie DeFranza, yes. Thank you. So now I will turn it back over to you, Erin.
Right. Moving forward, we have some information we wanted to talk to you about more specifically on competency determination, policy information. So like we had stated at the last meeting, some edits and changes are required for districts looking at competency determination moving forward. So we brought some more of the details for you tonight and wanted to run through those with you. So specifically, the DESE is looking for the coursework requirements in each of the required subject areas of ELA, math, science, and for the class of 2027, U.S. history, including specific courses that the district considers applicable for the purposes of the competency determination. So if you remember last time, Dr. Cushing talked about, we have the graduation requirements that are different than competency determination. So looking at the outline from the state, we'd be looking at 2 years of coursework in English language arts, 2 years in math, including Algebra 1 or geometry. Those are specific to our program. They have some other programs as well that aren't that we don't run in our high school in terms of integrated math. Science, 1 year of coursework in biology, chemistry, physics, or tech engineering. Those are ORs, so there's 1 year of that. And again, for the class of 2027 and beyond, U.S. history. So those are the outlined specific areas that the state is looking for. So, you know, our team and our committee that we're going to pull together hopefully next week or early the following week to kind of start working through this policy information and coming up with that and sharing it with the committee, the specifics. So the area that's new from the last year's competency determination is this one area in particular is the measures the district will use to determine whether the student has demonstrated mastery in each of the named subject areas. So kind of thinking about that, so we're looking at mastery in the coursework areas outlined above. So that's something new. So that's something we'll tackle as a group. And, you know, certainly have already had thoughts on that and some ideas how we would tackle that for our students. Also, having considerations for students with disabilities and English language learners. So what are considerations in those areas? We need to have policy information about that, as well as for late enrolling students. So students who might enroll as seniors in high school and, you know, come from, you know, a wide variety of places, what would that mean? So we have to have considerations for them in our policy as well, and thinking about what that would look like, which kind of bleeds a little into the next one, which is a description of the limited instances in which the district can use MCAS scores to determine competency. So if you think about a senior that might be coming in from somewhere else that we might not have a designated mastery component. They may have passed their coursework areas, but we don't have a measure of mastery. That might be something that we look at as an opportunity. Again, that's limited access to instances for that, but certainly an opportunity to look at. The process by which students can appeal a district's decision to award or deny a competency determination, and the process by which a current or former student may request a transcript review, a review of their case if they received a certificate of completion, as well as we also have to address how students that are in out-of-district placements are going to be awarded their competency determination as well. So this is just, you know, a little bit more information, but certainly we'll have the committee get together, talk about these things, and then bring that back. This policy is expected to be voted through the whole committee by the end of December. So hopefully we'll get that meeting going next week or early the following, and then have more to share maybe next meeting or, you know, maybe one of the whole committee meetings in November. Again, competency determination is done in conjunction with high school graduation requirements. So certainly our graduation requirements are looking at that vision of a graduate as in total, what we want students to leave our high school with, and the skills and knowledge that they have. And this is a competency and showing their competency in these specific areas. So questions on competency determination?
Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. Did you say that it would be for science, that it would be 2 sciences or biology and an additional science?
Just one for science.
Just one?
Yes, that's what I said, right? Yep. 2 for English, 2 for math, 1 for science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to follow up because I think we were looking for a volunteer from the school committee for the work that you'd like to kick off
Yes.
next week. And I also saw an article that I think I shared with your office. I'm not sure I shared it with all of the committee about some of the efforts underway at the state level. I don't want to necessarily adopt other people's work, but it did seem that there are a lot of thoughts going into this because we're not alone as a district in needing to make these decisions before the end of this calendar year.
And we've done some work in terms of Mr. Thomas and certainly Dr. Cushing and myself reaching out and talking to other districts and seeing what other people are doing too and their thoughts on that.
Okay, and so are you still looking for
Yes.
the school committee member?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a volunteer.
I'll do that.
I think you have a volunteer.
I'm like,
We'll be calling you.
Unless there's a line, I don't know.
Unless there's a line. I don't think there's a line. It's all you, Karen. Where you get. Okay, so we'll be calling you, Karen, and setting that up for next week. Okay, next, moving on to middle school CTE pathway exploration policy. This is new too, came out in May, looking at adopting regulations governing the recruitment and admission of students to career tech ed programs, schools across the Commonwealth. So really looking at how Chapter 74 programs in the state are admitting students. And so there's requirements around that. There is also this requirement where we're looking at that exploration policy for our middle school students and making sure that all of our students are aware of the programs that are available to them in career technical education, and just really making sure that they have that opportunity to make those decisions at an early stage in their career. So one of the things that must happen in our policy is offer schools and programs opportunities to provide information about their programs and careers to middle school students. So the expectation is moving forward after this year. It's October 15th of each school year in the following ways. On site at the middle school, which we currently do. I think it's scheduled for October 27th. They'll be coming in and working with middle school students. Also through the mail and email, which the fabulous guidance counselor here at the middle school, Maggie Lilly, does already, provides that opportunity for them to receive that information. And then putting it on the middle school's public-facing website. So that's something we'll be adding as we move forward. And then here, looking at middle schools, we'll collaborate with the schools, specifically Essex Tech, and programs about information and student opportunities, but tours. And so in the past, we've had grants. Going back several years, there were grants that allowed students to go over there and have tours. Now it is going to be providing opportunity for students here to go at the cost of the school that, not our school district, but for them, which I like. So that's always helpful. So that's something that the guidance department has started working on and thinking about and how that might look, but providing those opportunities for tours. They have an open house. That information will go out to students as well on November 22nd over at Essex Tech, but we'll also be providing this tour option for students to go over there. And it's just expected that there is a lot of collaboration between sending districts and receiving schools, which we've always had a very good, experience with Essex Tech, but certainly we can make every experience better for students and really give them those opportunities to see what they want to do in the future. So any questions regarding middle school CTE?
Do we need to take an action on any of our policies? Is there a biannual adoption of a policy?
So this will actually be a new policy, and we are going to request an extension. They're supposed to be done by November 1st. That deadline was slightly unreasonable, given other work and new superintendent and speaking to other districts who don't have new superintendents. There have been a few quick turnarounds on some of the DESI requests this year that have raised some concerns. So we will be requesting extension so that we can make sure that this is done right.
Okay.
I also just am always, I hope the tours can be available on weekends or non-school days, because I also feel that the curriculum that our teachers are delivering here in our middle school environment, being a former middle school principal, is really critical. And while we have 180 days, let's be honest, 180 days is not really 180 academic days. When you think about statewide assessments or half days or days before vacation. I'm not saying that our teachers aren't doing great things, but I was a teacher for a number of years and days are different. And I really find it to be important that our students are engaged in their schoolwork in their building. That is not discounting CTE programs, because they are phenomenal. But I hope that we can work and collaborate to find other opportunities for students to engage that does not impact the time academically here.
Okay, so that's a little on that, and we'll be working on that and bringing that forward to you. And the last topic, survey says, thank you to all of you on this committee that filled out the survey. I appreciate that. And this is some of the results that came out of that. Some topics that we had decided we'd like to discuss moving forward when we have free time, free moments in our schedule that we can plug these things in. So curriculum-wise, there was a high need for information on health and wellness curriculum, as well as world language curriculum information and updates at both the high school and middle school level, and math curriculum updates. So those were the three main areas in curriculum that stood out. Then there was instruction. Again, a lot of interest in specially designed instruction for special education students, looking at what does that look like? What does that mean? What are some examples of that so we can understand that better? Planned discourse, which is happening at both middle and high school levels, in particular as goal areas. There was the request of use of iPads and instructional technology, K-8 and 9-12, and what does that look like in terms of instructional practices and strategies, and then elementary reading strategies as well. So those were the high interest areas. And in student life, overwhelmingly, people wanted information and updates on clubs and activities, which I think is great, and kind of give us that piece of information. Like, Peter and I know the list of clubs and activities and the principals, but sharing that with all of you and the public and just student experience, I think, is really important. There was also a request for information about Essex Tech, our Essex Tech After Dark, and our Salem CTE experiences, and finally some interest in the house system at BMS. So what I will do with this information is look at the calendar and kind of plug in different things in different areas where we have more time, and we will go from there. So any questions on topics of interest? Yes, Karen.
I apologize. I sent mine in yesterday, and
that's okay. I was up to the minute up until we started. So
I just wanted to add, like, the just looking at summatives and formatives
assessment,
and benchmark testing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to take a look at that. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So, oops, I don't know why that went to that page. I had at the end, it's a great day to be a Panther. I don't know where that went.
Do it again.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I had to add that in for Dr. Cushing's sake. So thank you, everyone. And certainly I look forward to next month is November. So it's typically our MCAS summary will occur at this meeting. And then more specific reports by schools will happen at the whole committee meeting in November. And so I'm looking forward to that. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you. And our next meeting is November 12th. And so unless there are any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, not debatable, but we will call the roll. Rachel Abel,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Derek Brennan,
Yes.
Katie Kraft,
She says yes.
okay, Ryan Redmond,
He says yes.
right, and I'm Kanan Mackenzie DeFranza, and I assume even our non-voting members are ready to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. We are at the Beverly Middle School. Today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Time is 7:30 p.m., and this is a regular Beverly School Committee meeting. We are using a hybrid approach this evening, which is permitted under the June 16, 2021, Chapter 20 Acts of 2021 that have been extended multiple times. We provide real-time access to our community thanks to BevCam, who is broadcasting and streaming us. We also have the option for resident voice. And this evening, we, at this time, have all of the members physically present here in the building. If we do have any members that need to join us remotely, we will do a roll call vote. At this time, I'd like to do the call to order, and then we will begin with the pledge. And we are joined in our audience by many of our students and their caregivers and families, and we're excited to get to that portion very soon. Looking around the table, I know that Mayor Cahill is in the building, but there's an adjacent meeting down the hall, so we will expect him in a moment. We have Dr. Jeffrey Silva.
Here.
And we have Miss Lorinda Visnick. Miss Kimberly Coelho.
Here.
Miss Karen Robinson.
Here.
And Dr. Ken-Ann Mackenzie DeFranza. Here. I'm Rachel Abel. In terms of other members of our leadership team, we're joined this evening in person by Dr. Peter Cushing, our Executive Secretary, Donna Bergeron, our Student Representative, Delia Gauker.
Here.
We're also joined by our Cabinet, Dr. Andre Morgan, Miss Erin Brown, Miss Emma Splansky, Emma Puglisi and Bethany Smolansky. Look, there you go. And we are also joined by Principal Mark Thomas. Online, our Transportation Director, Dana Krushenk, is joining us remotely. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. For our Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask a very special favor for a very special woman, Miss Donna Bergeron. We would be honored if you would lead us tonight in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Ms. Bergeron. Okay, as I alluded to, we are joined by many familiar and friendly faces. I don't know if Mr. Thomas or Dr. Cushing, if you want to do some recognitions for the committee.
We'll call forward Mr. Thomas.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. We'd like to honor our spring athletes. These are our underclassmen that are still with us for another great season. So to start off, and I'm looking up, and I know some of these people won't be here, but I do want to recognize everybody. For girls lacrosse, we have Maddie Reynolds, Sasha Miller, Annabelle Miller, Charlotte Miller, and Coach of the Year in girls lacrosse for the league, Coach McGilligan. For softball, we have Meredith Johnston, Athena McKenna, and Lydia Miedma. For track and field, we have Jane Cosmos, Samantha Hayward, Olivia Anquetil, Infinity Burns, and Reese Quietek. For girls tennis, we have Olivia Devereaux. For For boys lacrosse, we have Will Burgess. For baseball, we have Charlie Salerno. And Jonathan Reyes. And our final All-Star recognized tonight is boys tennis, Jackson Maker. Congratulations to all our All-Stars. Looking forward to another great spring with them in a couple months.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Next on our agenda, we have a report from our student representative to the school committee, Delia Gauker. Welcome, Mayor Cahill.
Thank you. October has been a busy month at the high school. It's still getting going for the start of the year. Fall sports are currently underway with many games happening weekly. Most teams have also held senior games to recognize the members of their team that will be graduating at the end of this year. With the new lights this year, we have had 2 Friday night football games under the lights with large student sections and support at both of those, and other teams have also held games here and they've been used for a lot of practices. In October, we celebrated homecoming with a homecoming football game, and then the next night, a homecoming dance at the high school for students from all grades. Clubs continue to meet both before and after school. Students can find information about going to clubs in the morning announcements that are emailed to them. College representatives are still visiting the guidance office throughout the fall to present to interested students in small groups. Sophomores and juniors have the opportunity to take the PSAT on October 23rd, and seniors have the opportunity to take the SAT on October 16th. On October 9th, there'll be a parents' afternoon back at the high school. And finally, the Stage Right Drama Club is rehearsing their production of Pride and Prejudice right now, and the music department is beginning a cabaret-style musical with a combination of different musical numbers from shows. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we're going to take a brief 2-minute recess so that we can congratulate our recipients for the recognitions. Also, Ms. Gauker, if you need to leave, otherwise please stay and join us for the rest of the conversation. I also want to invite any members that are here to speak at our open forum for Resident Voice. There is a sign-up sheet available on that table. So we'll take a 2-minute recess for congratulations. us. We always appreciate it when we have our students and their caregivers and parents with us. We are now going to move on to the approval of meeting records from our September 10th committee meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Visnick and Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza. Were there any edits or corrections that we needed to make to these meeting records before we make them public? I'm not seeing any offerings for correction, so all of those in favor of approving our meeting records as presented? I see 6-0 with the mayor absent. I think he just stepped away to have a conversation. Okay. Moving on, the next item is an open forum for resident voice for input on agenda-related items or non-agenda related items. This is an opportunity to speak about topics included or not included as part of tonight's agenda. Any person who is wishing to make a request to speak should arrive at the posted meeting in time, in person, or email residentvoice@beverlyschools.org in advance of the meeting for an alternate accommodation. Please note, this is a public comment and not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals and the school committee. It is an individual's opportunity to express an opinion on issues within the school committee's authority. Remarks are addressed through the chair, who may refer items to the superintendent for future consideration. And that language comes directly from the school committee policy. This evening, I'm aware of only one person who wishes to speak, and I would invite Caleb McCauley to the record. You will have up to 3 minutes, and I would ask that you state your name and address for our records.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, probably too close. My name is Caleb McCauley. I live at 3 Henderson Avenue. I'm here tonight to speak on CPAC. So I've been here ever since the strike. I pretty much attend all the meetings. I'm part of CPAC now. If you don't know me, I have 2 kiddos, one in the middle school, a 4th grader at North Beverly who's on an IEP. I'm going to be the CPAC rep who attends all the meetings. I'm going to be a face that you guys can come talk to, be able to hear what's going on. I'm also here tonight to ask for a school committee liaison. I think it's really important not just to have a rep from our side, but a liaison from your side so that the communication is really proper. It will help with trust. It will help with collaboration. If we have to submit like an official email, we can do that to everyone. But if not, that's something we're asking. Something good going on in the district. Last Wednesday, there was a Cove Resource Fair for AIM, and it was attended by, I think, over 12 families. They did an amazing job where they even had a daycare facility, so both parents were able to attend. Some of those parents didn't even have basic services like DDS, even though they qualified, so it's very needed. I talked with Amy Blanchard from North Beverly about getting one there. They're going to be trying to work on that, so I'm hoping that happens. Thanks to Dr. Cushing, we had a survey that went out to a bunch of parents. We've had over 119 submissions. We're collecting a lot of data on it. We still have more to go, and then collecting it all and sort of putting it all into information so we're able to present that. Hopefully we're able to do that in the next month or so. We had our first CPAC official meeting of the year. We had between 20 and 25 caregivers at a time attending. It was a few hours long. Thank you, Bethany, for being a part of it. It went a little longer than we thought. We are holding a caregiver conversation time this next Tuesday, the 14th, from 7 to 8 o'clock, just for parents who are able to talk about their challenges. It's not really anything official where we have like a direct conversation. It's just about people trying to express what they're going through. One thing that happened out of the district, which I talked with Dr. Cushing about, and I'm really excited to hear what he's going to be talking about. Danvers had an amazing event, Unified Basketball, and it was between them and Linfield. They had a resource fair part of it, so people could get different resources. It was attended by sports, all the athletics, the cheerleaders, the marching band. It was an amazing event. So I'm really excited to hear an update, hopefully, on something about that. Other than that, I think for the most part, that's it. But I'm hoping at some point we are able to have like some type of quarterly what's going on in the district, all the good stuff, our aspirations. I'm really hoping to be able to have our CPAC be very present in our community and working all together as a team. We might all be on different highways. Our destination is the same. And I think that's something we all have to remember. We might go different routes. We're all going to get to the same destination if we work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just check real quickly, were there any other members of the public that wished to sign up and didn't see the sheet? Okay. Next, we have items by consensus. This is a recommendation to approve the items by consensus as outlined. There's A, B, C, and D. These are warrants in various amounts, basically paying the district's bills.
So moved.
Entertain the motion. Thank you, Ms. Visnick.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Generally, we don't have any questions. Just looking, are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Paying our bills this month, 7-0. Next, I will turn it over to the superintendent for his report. We have some exciting field trips, updates, and recommendations.
So I'd like to call forward Allison Nichols to present on the annual trip for the middle school students to head to Puerto Rico. And I'll share a presentation that she and Edgar DeLeon and Lydia Ames.
Darn it.
It's all right.
That's okay.
And I'll share this with the committee as well. There were going to be handouts, but we'll make sure that this is shared with you as well.
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Allison Nichols. I am a 7th grade Spanish teacher at Beverly Middle School, and I'm here to propose our trip to Puerto Rico in April of 2026. As many of you know, we have had 3 very successful trips the last few years with wonderful groups of students, and we're excited to have the opportunity again to explore Puerto Rico and bring a new group and kind of expand their worldview. And so I'm excited to share a little bit about our plans for the upcoming trip and our past experience. So, as I'm sure many of you know, educational travel is such a big part of a well-rounded education, and it can expand students' worldview and promotes understanding, gives them real-world experiences outside of the classroom. We're doing everything down there from science at the bioluminescent bay to math in restaurants, ordering and paying the bill. We're doing history, of course, learning about the culture and the history of Puerto Rico. So they're getting a little bit of everything while they're there. You can go to the next slide. So when we're there, what will we see? We've kind of had a slightly different itinerary each year that we've gone, and we're still in the process of finalizing what we wanted exactly to look like this year. You know, each year that we've gone, we've kind of figured out little things that have gone well and what tweaks we want to make and what we want to make sure that we do. Last year we were able to leave actually San Juan, and we took a bus to Ponce, and we had an amazing experience there with the bioluminescent bay where the kids were able to get out, jump into the water and swim, and everything was glowing, and we were in boats, and it was awesome. Beautiful sunset, and that was wonderful. So we're hopeful we might get to do that again this year. Another highlight was snorkeling. We saw sea turtles, lots of wildlife, lots of historical sites. We went to El Yunque, which is the rainforest. So it's just lots and lots to do and discover there. So what's slightly different about this year's proposal is we are looking at April 15th through 19th of 2026. In the past, we took the kids on April vacation. And so this year we went to Dr. Cushing and proposed that we would like to use the week before April vacation for this trip. We just feel like this has been beyond an educational experience, of course, and it's more expensive to travel during April vacation, and it's, of course, more of a commitment, especially for the adult chaperones and teachers who are going. We kind of joked to Dr. Cushing that the first year we did this, we felt like we were here begging to let you all let us go on this trip. And now we're like, well, people should be begging us to go, because at this point, I think the parents, the families, everyone is just so excited and loves this trip. It's been such a great experience, but it's a lot. We've done it without compensation. There's a lot of logistical things and a lot that goes into it the entire school year. And then to give up the April vacation for both the students and the staff, it's been a lot. So we proposed Wednesday before April vacation through the Sunday. It's a 5-day trip. So our tour director was actually able to kind of give us a mock-up itinerary, but using those dates, he said we would save money by utilizing those dates. And he was actually able to get us nonstop direct round trip flights, which is incredible because last year we were in a layover in Detroit with 40 eighth graders, and that was not good. So we want, as direct and logistically what makes sense as possible. That would be great. So that's kind of the one important change to note for this year. And again, it would be right before vacation. So the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then coming home on the Sunday of April vacation. Okay, yes, you can go to the next slide. I guess I kind of talked about this. This is all just mock itineraries. Again, what's included is the round trip transportation for overnight stays. We've had great experiences with our hotels. The kids have breakfast daily, authentic dinners. We're typically out and about for lunch, so that's kind of varied depending on what we're doing. We had an amazing tour director last year. We already are putting in a request to have him again. He was just wonderful and so great with the kids, and everybody loved him. So we're hopeful we can have him again. We have guided sightseeing tours. That's all included, the excursions and what we visit. And then we do have an overnight security chaperone at the hotels. We have a tour diary where parents can follow along with their child's experience. And then tipping is included. This year's cost that we were given is $2,499. This is an example of accommodations. This is the hotel that we stayed in the first year and also last year when we were in San Juan. We really enjoyed it. It was great. It was safe. It was convenient, and there was a great pool that the kids enjoyed. There is travel protection included, or that students can purchase. So they have a couple different options for travel protection that families choose to do. And then I think if you go to the next slide, it shows payment plans. And then they have the different payment options that families can choose to participate in, like an automatic withdrawal, paying in full, or manual payment plans. We did do some fundraisers in the past. We would like to do more this year, but it's really been about like parent support and what the families want to do, which again, I think maybe with some tweaks to this in the future moving forward, like if we're going at a different time of the year or maybe with compensation, et cetera, we would be able to have more of a bandwidth to really take on the fundraising aspect. But for now, we've been kind of leaving it up to families to help us out with as well. I think that's it. Yep, that's all repeat. Okay. Thank you.
I understand the superintendent is recommending this.
Yeah, so I'm a firm believer that any travel or field trips we do need to be solidly academic in nature. While there may be rare exceptions to that, I'm a firm believer that immersive travel for students is an important part of the curriculum. I do have slight concerns about the cost of, these travel, and always worry about students who can't afford. And so really want to make sure that any fundraising that's done is able to be delivered to students that may not be able to normally attend these. Also, though, I believe that the policy says no more than 3 days out of school, which is where we came to this. Also, the cost savings, while not knowing the specific and direct flights, informed my push for this to not be a full week out of school, but to really look at opportunities that perhaps students who would be traveling with their family on April vacation may still be able to do that while also engaging in this. But I do know that this would be a new consideration for the committee based on meetings I've watched previously.
So it sounds like a recommendation with a few caveats.
Well, it's a recommendation. It's
Okay.
more just, I wanted to inform the committee of my thought process in this. I will say, as someone who's experienced and led these types of trips, they can be really invaluable to the students. And my mission is to figure out ways that more students can attend these, because $2,500 is not a small number.
Great. Ms. Visnick, do you have a motion for us?
I do. Thank you for that explanation. I think it does help. I would like to make a motion that we, at least for the sake of discussion, approve this trip.
Thank you, Ms. Visnick. Thanks, Mayor Cahill. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I do.
Go for it.
I'm going to look right across the table and say, can we pick back up our last discussion about, although Ms. Elder is not here, where are we? And maybe part of that question is for you. Excuse me. What do you expect to take a nurse with you, or someone who's medically qualified? And then part B for that maybe is have those discussions taken place based on what Ms. Elder told us at the last meeting about the changes in the law.
So we have had further discussions, but we're also awaiting further changes to come forward. But one of the things that I plan to do is to work with the teachers through these tour companies to see what options they might be able to offer to us. One of the benefits of the Puerto Rico trip as compared to going to Canada, while they are our great northern friendly neighbors, one of the great benefits of the Puerto Rico trip is it's an American territory, all American citizens. So why I think that's important is the ability for potentially a nurse to travel and to have an exemption. Exemption is not the right word, but the ability to practice. And so that is something that we are looking into. That is not something that's factored into the cost, all right? And so that's always something to consider for these trips is, I think it's extremely important. I would usually travel with a nurse and an EMT to Washington, D.C. for a trip that we did, and found that to be extremely beneficial. So I understand where you're coming from. It's also making sure that we get the best ability to support our students, especially middle schoolers.
So do you expect to have a chaperone or an adult with you that is somehow medically certified in quote unquote anything?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to speak for Edgar, but he was our kind of medical guy the last few years, like in charge of the medical supplies and what kids needed. He was the one that held on to medications that kids might need daily and helping them to remember to take it and those types of small, like he had the first aid kit. He was kind of our go-to for that. I don't know what his qualifications are. But yeah, I think we're open to, if we were told we needed to have something like that could be one of our chaperones. So we can choose who those people are.
So I'm just going to say that we maybe need to figure out how, as a district, once you get whatever additional information we're waiting for, like a new path forward, because we've always done things a certain way, and that way was to strongly encourage our educators to take somebody who was a certified nurse with them, and then we all felt a little bit better about if something happens, we at least have one of our own with the students.
Sure.
And now there's been some legal changes to whether that would even work. And so I think as a committee, we need to push that out. As here's the new procedure.
Okay. I saw 3 hands. I saw Ms. Robinson's And then Mayor Cahill, and then Dr. Silva.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this. I mean, you brought this type of travel to the middle school, and just so many friends of mine have had students go on the trips that you've done, and just said just how it shapes their worldview, and I think that's huge. And I also want to thank you for advocating for, the time being not on April break, because it is a vacation, but it's not a break, and I think everybody needs that. So I think that was a really smart thing to think of. I don't think anybody's ever thought of that before. So it's important, and I just want to say I wholeheartedly support this trip.
Thank you. Mayor Cahill next.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Nichols, couple things. Last year, how many students went and how many chaperones?
We had 42 students and 7 chaperones.
So is that
6-to-1 ratio.
6-to-1 ratio, no matter, okay, I got you. And going to the cost and the fundraising, how did fundraising go last year? Was it individualized by student or?
Yes, so each student from Explorica, the company we use, they have an individual fundraising page. So we encourage the students to ask for your birthday, ask for Christmas, ask for any sort of time you could for anyone you know in your family or extended, network for money for the trip or to support your trip. So they can do that. That's one piece. We have done like group fundraising efforts, like selling cookie dough we did one year, and some other little things that they sold, and we set up at the a bake sale at the 8th grade dance and some other small things like that.
Right.
And yeah, it kind of got dispersed out amongst the students. And then we did have a little bit like extra we used for buying snacks and water, and sunscreen when we arrive. So we usually do a trip when we get down there to buy some necessities. So we need a couple $100 for that as well that we've used from fundraising efforts. So it's very minimal. And last year I would say was even more minimal. There wasn't a lot of interest. I guess it kind of feels like the people who have signed up so far are understanding this is the cost for the most part.
Yeah.
They're not putting a lot of stake in we might raise more money. But that is the challenge, and we want to make this accessible and equitable for everyone. And 42 people was already a lot of people to bring, and we don't want to go over that. For now, again, like if this expanded even bigger and we were running 2 trips or something, like there's so many possibilities, but it also feels a lot overwhelming, all of those. So yeah, so far we've had a lot of interest. We started with maybe 80 families last year that said they were interested and would sign up, and slowly but surely it kind of dwindled down, and in the end we had 42.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I am going to support this. I too find immense value in travel and in cultural type of education like this. I think it's fantastic. Just in my head, I'm wondering how many families or kids for whom the price tag without some ability to cut it is really problematic, kind of self-select out.
Right.
And we don't even know that they wanted to go, but for that opportunity to, because if there were really robust fundraising opportunities, in addition to what Explorica offers.
Sure. And they do offer a scholarship as well, but it's a little, it's unclear, and nobody's taken advantage of that piece either. So I don't really know a lot about it.
I guess I just encourage you all, to be as creative and as much as you can put to that fundraising effort. And, I think we've said this before to other groups. If and as you're doing a fundraiser, let us know. I don't know that any of us can bust the bank, but, we'd all want to be supportive in some fashion, right? So anyway, congrats and thanks for this.
Dr. Silva.
So my question's also in the cost. So last year, what was the cost for
I
the
believe
trip?
last year was close to 2,300, it was like 2,200.
similar.
It's gone up, and we brought that up with our tour director, and I think especially Edgar has talked about, let's go back to the drawing board, and could we price out some other companies and bring it back to our tour person at Explorica and kind of say, look, we could do this and we want to go with you. We just haven't had the chance to do that yet. And so we kind of have been going back and forth with him of, why has it gone up so much? Of course, inflation and all the things. And it's hard to know because he can't give us, it's such a large company. It's hard to nail down exactly
So
what
do-
are
do you-
these.
Do you think you have the time to even to shop around, at least to have that in your hands to negotiate?
Yes, and we discussed it for doing it for tonight, and we didn't. But we definitely will. Yes, we know we want to look into EF because they've reached out to us before. And again, I think they're all similar, but and we know really if we did the trip on our own, we could do it for a lot less. But that's a whole nother undertaking. So,
Thank you.
Thanks. Are there other members? Dr. Cushing, did you want to add something?
I just want to say thank you for the work that they did, not to cut any other members off. One of the things, and correct me if I didn't ask, maybe it's just a hazy blur, was asking for this trip to actually be put on in the springtime for approval for next year. That way, our students might have I did ask that, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
We met for several weeks ago, sorry. And just so that students might have a longer runway to fundraise or ask birthdays or this or that, the other piece to really try to get that money knocked down a little bit. The other thing too is under the Massachusetts Conflict of Interest Law, all chaperones will fill out the conflict of interest paperwork, believe it or not. The Ethics Commission requires that because this is seen as a benefit. I want to be very clear that these trips are work. They are very demanding opportunities, and when having conversations with a member of the ethics board, I once mentioned the benefit is for the students, not for. So, but I do just want to be clear that I should have mentioned this for the Quebec trip, and I'm blanking on the Barcelona trip, I believe. The band trip, yes. There we go, Pennsylvania. That we just have to fill out that paperwork.
Ms. Visnick?
Maybe this has to also go into our longer-term planning around field trip procedures. Because they have previously happened on school vacation, we didn't have to worry about whether students were quote-unquote in good standing and how much other coursework they were going to meet, how the other teachers feel about that, and how we're going to make it up. So that's, I don't believe, a reason to vote no. However, it's something that needs to be discussed. And so we would hope that everybody who wants to go is in good enough academic shape that they can miss 3 days or 4 days of the other classes. They're certainly going to get immersed in a foreign language, but that's not math, right? So it's not English. So yeah, I just think we need to look at that and figure out as a body kind of what guidelines we want.
Yeah, and we have already in the past done a contract with the student. So we tell the parents up front that the students have to be in good academic standing. Mostly, we are telling them they need to maintain above a C average for the year. And also can't have major behavioral infractions like suspension or we've had some students who have gotten letters of recommendation from teachers in the past. So like we are holding them pretty firm throughout the whole process, saying if you aren't upholding these, then we cannot take you on a trip like this. And so we have had students with maybe lower grades or something who have gotten letters of recommendation. So like we already have some of those things in place that we can look
I'm
at.
more thinking about you missed 3 lectures, you missed 3 class sessions, maybe you miss an assignment, maybe you don't, maybe you come back to, oh, by the way, now you've missed 3 lectures and an assignment is due tomorrow. So having those conversations is usually the most important piece. It's almost always able to be worked around, but that needs to be part of the totality of the conversation for each student that signs up to go for each of their classes, right? So maybe we need to put that into our little, when you fill out your form, I've done these things, right? I don't know. We're in kind of some new ground, so we got to figure it out.
Miss Robinson.
Thank you. We have sent students during school, but wasn't there a Spain trip last year for students at the high school?
In high school.
And they were gone for over 2 weeks, I think. So I think this might be new, I'm glad it's at the middle school. It's good to do that at the middle school level. The stakes are not the same as high school as much as, I think I don't find it to be like a new thing if we've done it before,
Okay, I'm going to call on myself. I've had a student that was on the inaugural trip, and I think it provides an invaluable opportunity for student growth. I think about our vision of the graduate as I think about these opportunities, and I wish that it was more affordable and accessible for every student. I appreciate Nature's Classroom as an opportunity for independence, but with our vision of the graduate really enabling our students to be lifelong learners, curious, and global citizens, I think that these opportunities are important, that we offer them, and that we as a district, we need to figure out the nitty-gritties about some of the ways that we keep our students safe and healthy on these trips. I fully support the trip. Having a student that travels in the high school, the relationship between the student and the teachers for whom they're going to miss classes is really an important learning opportunity for the students. At the high school, they have something called a beep slip that they actually have to go and talk to the teachers and make that plan on how they're going to work things out. I think executive planning and functioning is an important skill that your middle schoolers will be learning, and so making it work so that they don't miss assignments. I know that we're very sensitive around school vacation weeks anyway, because we have a lot of people that notice the discrepancy in airplane ticket prices if you leave midweek versus on the weekends. I think that there were many compelling reasons for these students to miss school, notably not having to do a layover in Detroit, which if my geography is right, that's the opposite direction that you should have been traveling. So I appreciate all the points that you brought forward tonight. I think it makes a compelling reason to approve this trip. I don't know if there are any other members that wanted to speak up before I call for the vote. Seeing none, all those in favor of sending our middle schoolers to Puerto Rico again? It looks like you have a unanimous vote. Enjoy your trip. And again, as Mayor Cahill offered, if there are opportunities for fundraising that we can support, we would be glad to do so.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Nice job.
Okay, just looking for, on your place, your table place, I apologize, and I'm just trying to find the actual report so I can share it. All right, so the transportation update and report. So let me just share this. I appear to be having technical difficulties with sharing. I apologize. So in the first month of school, Beverly Transportation has been working to reduce late arrivals to school. We do have one route in particular for Beverly Middle School. School start time is 8:35, and we are arriving consistently after that. And so We've tried several things, as in shifting how that bus operates. Our transportation director is on the call as well, but tomorrow what we've done is we've changed the pickup for some elementary students to alleviate the pressure on that bus's first run, to then make it earlier to their second run. We have been working to make sure that we have multiple administrators and administrative assistants, sometimes up to 7, in the lobby or in the cafeteria area, to essentially fast track these students in based on my conversations with Miss Oliver, so that they aren't waiting in a long line. I've also spoken to Miss Leal about our breakfast options for students, so they can get a grab and go. Grab and go is open until 9 a.m. on the first and third floors of the middle school, and any student, not that we've arrived after 9 to my knowledge, but any student who would like breakfast after can go to the kitchen with a teacher after 9 a.m. and receive that, just as a general. So I want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. I want to also be sure, though, that everyone understands, like, our transportation department is working on probably more than 50 runs a day between our 3 levels, and is working very diligently. We're going to talk about some equipment challenges later on, but they are working very diligently. We do need to make sure that we're getting our kids to school on time, right? It is critical. I do not want, as one parent said in an email about the stress and anxiety of students arriving late, impacting parents' ability to get to work on time. But I know that our transportation director is working very diligently on resolving this problem, and I'm eager to see how the run goes first thing tomorrow. So I'm hopeful. Another issue that we've had is this year, it seems more so than normal, we've had a number of late move-ins to the district, and also transporting intra-district, so that we're managing class sizes. And just let me get the exact number. It's about 30 students. What's the bullying report? It's about 30 students that we're moving to various schools because of class sizes, to make sure that we're making, but that's another pressure put on the system. And right now, the transportation department is at capacity to manage these. So if we have more move-ins that require this type of intra-district, and realize that, you know, the placement of a student may also come with the placement of a sibling, that if a class is full or a cohort is full in one school, but that sibling could go, and it might be that we're transporting 2 because what parent wants to go to multiple elementary schools. So we're actively managing these, and we're going to be working on plans, hopefully for next year, to reduce the amount of intra-district travel that we have. It's a real benefit. I can't stress this enough. This is the first district that I've worked in that has has its own transportation system. I have to be honest, it is an extraordinary benefit. All right, both from a cost savings perspective, and the ability to do things to support students. Right now, we are operating 50 vehicles. The breakdown is there in front of you. For those of you listening online or further viewing this on YouTube, for all immortality, we have 10 vans, 11 minibuses, 3 3/4 size buses, 24 full-size buses, and 2 service vehicles. Those 2 service vehicles are traditional pickup with a toolbox. Both have plows, and the other is a pickup truck with a rack and a lift gate on the back. The biggest challenge for us right now is our fleet of vans. They age and range from 2012 to 2023. Mechanics, we have 2 mechanics in the district, 1 full-time, 1 part-time. That's something that we're actually looking at as well, just given some of the repair needs of the vehicles. So they're working very diligently to make sure that these vehicles are well-maintained. However, some of our older, specifically between 2012 and 2015, the parts simply are not available anymore. And so we're looking for used or salvaged parts to be able to keep some of these vehicles running. I want to be very clear. They have all passed inspection. They are all safe, and they're all able to function. However, sometimes if something goes wrong, it means that they're down for a significantly longer period of time than normal or for a newer vehicle. So there are 9 routes that are transported by the vans, which means right now we have 1 spare. But earlier this year, we had 2 vans down. And Dana, you're online, so you can correct me if I'm misspeaking at any point. But it just puts a lot of stress and pressure on the system without having those vans. And so it transports our special education students, our intra-district transportation, and for those students displaced from their home schools, as well as some Saints Academy students on 2 particular bus runs. The preferred van to transport students is the Microbird. Those are the 2023s. It offers 8 seats for students versus 7. It also increases space in their individual seatbelts for students. So increased space between the students as well. I will say, though, that the current cost for these vans through state contract is approximately $110,000. We're currently seeking quotes on the more traditional style vans. And right now, we're seeking to fund 2 vans. This is not a request, it's more just how we are operationalizing our daily. So we're seeking ways that we can fund 2 vans and institute a vehicle replacement program moving forward, so that we're on some type of a rotation, so that we have equipment ready to go. Also, this was not part of the FY26 budget, as there was a real focus on making sure that any spending was focused on student learning and student outcomes. And, we do have mechanics who are doing a very good job maintaining these. Brian and I'm blanking on, I shouldn't have called out, but I'm blanking on the other mechanics' names. They're both doing amazing jobs. Dana, go for it. The other mechanic's name, I just want to make sure I give him due respect. Dylan, thank you. So what we might do is look to finance one of these vehicles over a 3 to 5 year period, depending on interest rates, waiting on what the cost would be for those more traditional style vans. The cost savings could be substantial, and then working with the transportation department to see what the best option is. So I just want to make sure that you knew where we were. Also, if Emma or Aaron or Dana have anything else to add that I may have missed, stepped on, or otherwise. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have. Or Dana, I'm not sure how your audio is, but unfortunately, Dana, we're having some audio difficulties.
I'm on. Here. Here. Flint. No. Here. That.
Right. Dana, I apologize. We're having some internal problems here that is limiting the ability for us to understand what you were saying, and I am not able to interpret at this point. But I am happy to answer questions as best I can, or if you want to table until a future meeting for further questions or anything along those lines.
Okay. I saw Mayor Cahill's hand, then Ms. Visnick.
Thanks, Madam President. Just a quick one, Dr. Cushing. The move-ins, could you talk about, were they over the summer? Have they been since the school year began? What's this kind of scope of, because we always get move-ins and move-outs.
We do. However, based on conversations, honestly, with Donna and other members of the team, the move-ins really came in the latter part of August. They came, we've already talked about how we want to advertise and get the word out for our kindergartens. We had a real run on kindergarten toward the end of the
These weren't
summer.
move-ins, these were late
Late
registrations for
and move-ins,
kindergarten.
yes, but they were both. So I appreciate that opportunity to clarify.
Okay,
But it was late
thanks.
registrations and specific, also move-ins of, oh dear, we now have 2 students, 3 students at this particular resident.
Gotcha, thanks.
Yep.
Ms. Visnick?
I'm going to ask a series of questions. I'm going to hope that, although we can't hear Mr. Cruikshank, that maybe my friend Emma over there can help us out. I'm wondering, relative to the cost of the microbird vans, whether any grants might exist for those. And the context for that is we have a number of new electric buses. Well, all of our electric buses we've obtained without any of our own monetary outlay, right? They've all come to us via grants. So with that incredible track record, pun intended, I want to know if we could maybe get these replacement buses similarly financed. Anybody?
I am not aware of any available grant opportunities. My understanding, and correct me when I'm wrong, and I'm looking at you, Mr. Mayor, is that most of the funding that we've seen is specific to EV buses and that was in support of those. My understanding is there's less of that under the current federal administration. Additionally, consideration for the route, I don't know if this one comes in an electric version. I'm not well enough versed in that, but also that would then come with additional infrastructure considerations that we really looking at this on hopefully more of a shorter timeline than would really be allowed if we really wanted to walk all the way down that path.
I'm going to answer the question too.
Okay.
I'm going to ask Mrs. Barrett to start looking into grants right away. I think Ms. Puglisi's point that the former EPA Clean School Bus Grant Program was focused on buses. So I don't know what we'll find. Also, and the program is a fantastic one, and the state partnered up with it to make complementary grants available. So we actually got $2.9 million in pretty much equal amount federal and state money, and another $200,000 at least for federal tax credits. So we had $3.1 million to buy those 8 EV school buses, which is fantastic, saving us as a district and a community a whole lot of money, because 8 diesels would have cost just about $1 million. So saved a lot of money there. Under the new administration in Washington, they are sunsetting and getting rid of that whole program. So we'll look and see what might be out there for any type of van grants or incentives or opportunities. See what comes back.
Colin, myself, I was wondering if we have taken into consideration ridership. I know that we have mandated riders and that sometimes we have room on our routes for additional riders. Do these numbers and numbers of routes take into account everyone that wants to have a ride to school? Or do we still have some unmet need or desire for more busing?
I have not been made aware of any unmet need, and that has not been part of any conversation, but I defer to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you, no, we can't hear you on your microphone, but can you shut off your,
Mute yourself.
yeah, mute yourself. Okay, so I will share you with the committee so they can hear you. Okay.
So, can everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have never changed our mileage restrictions in the almost 8 years I've been here. Mandated is 2 miles or above for K through 6. We do 1.5 miles and above for all grade levels. There is a fee on certain members for that. We also have special circumstances based off of my conversations with principals of areas that don't go to school unless we transport them. Hannah's a big example of that with some of the housing areas around them. So we do transport 1 to 1.4 miles under certain circumstances.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So it seems like we're meeting our obligations and then some to make sure our students have a safe ride to school.
Yes.
Great. Mayor Cahill.
I want to just add as well, because it might have slid by, and I wouldn't want somebody asking, why do we do this? We transport kids to Saints Academy because state law requires that we transport to parochial schools if they're K to 6, over 2 miles, et cetera, correct? I mean, I know that's the answer. I'm just saying it.
Yes.
That is correct. And we have the same guidelines for Saints Academy as we do for Beverly Public Schools.
Are there any other questions at this moment? Thank you, Ms. Brown, for making that work for us. Okay, thank you for that update, and it sounds like we may be hearing from you again.
Yes.
Thanks.
If I could actually skip, just reverse the order. I don't think that
Sure.
requires a motion, but I'd like to address the bullying information that I've given you. So the first document that I printed out and shared with you is the existing bullying form that the state put out in the model plan about 13 to 14 years ago. Having been a practitioner utilizing this form, it is severely limited in the directions that it gives to people investigating, as well as a critical step in the process. So this right now is the approved form by the Beverly Public Schools. And what I've done is provided you a packet of my opinion of what the bullying form should look like. The first 2 pages are for the reporter to fill out. This all has been reviewed by our attorney at Lyons Law for compliance with the state anti-bullying law. And so it gives very clear directives on who is filling it out. The reports can be anonymous, all right? But as soon as somebody mentions the word bullying, we should be working through a packet similar to this. It asks for the names of the target behavior. It asks for whether you are. All of these are optional for an anonymous reporter. And if you're a student, what's your grade? If you're a staff member, state your school or work site. Asking for dates of incidents, so things are very clear. When the report is filed with central office, so that we're very clear on our process and how things have worked forward. Names of the alleged aggressors, if known. Names of witnesses, if known, so that we can go through a robust investigation process. Asking specifically, where did the incident happen, leaving room for people to add, was there a physical injury there? And then prompting, if there was, for the reporter, that a nurse in the school should be immediately contacted to have the student checked out if there is an alleged injury. And then to describe the details of what happened, the signature of the person submitting, the principal receiving the report. I would just say we'll add principal or designee there. My apologies for that. So that then we're documenting our process. The remaining pages then are the investigation form that really provides a structure to make sure that these incidents are investigated consistently across the district. So, again, writing the names of the aggressors, review and attach the reporting form that's here, review the student's discipline and relevant school records, determine if there are any prior documented incidents between the aggressor, if there have been incidents between the target and target group previously, and to describe procedures for restoring the target group's sense of safety. That's a really critical piece of the law, is making sure that we're restoring the target's sense of safety. And are there any previous incidents with findings of bullying or retaliation? So consultation with additional school staff, and then to list out who those staff members are, the dates of those meetings, and then determine whether any additional staff is needed. We have a little bit of work to do just on formatting, but that's all right. And so then conducting the interviews of the aggressor, those should also be attached with any written documentation. Read back the summary of any information to ensure the accuracy of your documentation. Physical injuries, again, school nurse should conduct an examination. And the following checked items are attached to this report: the incident reporting forms, printouts of online evidence such as blog posts, social networking pages, emails, etc. Copies of other evidence may be listed below, police reports, written statements from interviews, reporters, and then the summary of the investigation with additional space as needed. And then determination, they were really, the attorneys were really happy to see how we had listed this out. And then to provide a final determination of incidents did not meet the standard of bullying. Bullying has occurred and will be dealt with in-house. If there is a finding of bullying, consider whether or not cyberbullying occurred, and then some various questions to ask there. And then the bullying response plan. All right, so plan will be completed if there's a determination of bullying is made, and some remediation actions. And then a really critical piece is the final 2 pages, which is the individual safety plan. So one of the aspects that is required is that schools and districts provide a safety plan for our students who may have been targeted by bullying. So I'm not asking for this to be approved tonight because I know it's a lot, but I wanted to give it to you to digest as we move forward with this topic. I mean, if you see so fit to approve it tonight, all the better. However, open to comments. And I've also put in your packet a updated, I'm just trying to find my red line, sorry, an updated policy JICFB that has been reviewed and edits have been made by our lawyers. And so basically on the first page, in the first paragraph, what is removed, members of school staff, including but not limited to, shall be subject to bullying. What they said was that the state law is clear that this is bullying for students. There are other workplace protections for employees to not have to deal with harassment or bullying, but it is not covered under the bullying prevention law, that is a student-focused. What the committee chooses to do is what the community chooses to do, but the law itself is focused on the students. At the bottom on definition, installing for purposes of the policy, use terms aggressor and removes we from that. And it says on the next page, defines target. We currently have target is a person. The recommendation is to change that. Target is a student. And then in the next paragraph for hostile environment, pervasive at the end, pervasive to alter the conditions of the student's education and remove staff workplace. And then we also included at functions, this is under bullying is prohibited, at functions or programs, whether on or off school grounds. This has been a significant push from the Attorney General's office, that the responsibility to protect and investigate bullying, sometimes, not sometimes, it goes beyond it. Bullying, cyberbullying are prohibited at a location. Adding two, just want to make sure here. Oh no, what we did was we removed that piece and just added a bullet that said "and at a location," because it specifically says bullying is prohibited at the top. On the next page, it's highlighted in gray. My apologies that it didn't photocopy in color. However, adding the bullying prevention and intervention plan shall be reviewed and updated at least biennially, which is every 2 years, under the requirements of the law. So the investigation procedures at the bottom of the page removes equity coordinator and puts in designee for the principal or designee. We removed equity coordinator throughout because it could be the principal or other trained designee, not just the equity coordinator. By having principal or just equity coordinator in there, not having the designee could limit us in how we respond to it. We also removed that the investigation should be completed within 14 school days. That limitation, the concern, this is the fourth page, fourth paragraph. We removed, the paragraph does start, the parents or guardians shall be contacted upon completion of the investigation. However, we removed that it will be completed within 14 days. Bullying investigations really should not be time limited because there may be ongoing challenges. This does not mean that we're going to delay an investigation or that this somehow alleviates the responsibility of the district. However, the situation may be ongoing, that there's a first incident and there's monitoring going on as part of an investigation. So the recommendation, the legal recommendation was to remove that. And so we'll make sure that we provide updates to the parents, but again, want to make sure that we're not hemmed in by a time barrier that is not in the actual law. And then the reports right now, the current document calls for a monthly report to be submitted to the superintendent's office or my designee. I'll be honest, I want to know about bullying when it happens. I want to know what we're doing to prevent it, what we're doing to respond. I do not want to wait for a monthly report. I want to make sure that we're having active, ongoing conversations with our school leaders to make sure that we're addressing, drilling down, and working to prevent and protect our students. And then another word that was just removed at the bottom for training and assessment was ongoing. It says ongoing training. Ongoing can legally be interpreted as, quite literally, training all the time. So what we will provide is annual training for our school employees and volunteers. I am also happy to forward a copy of the red line under confidential, as it's attorney-client privilege legal for the committee to review in advance of any approval. I'm not asking for this to be fully approved tonight, as it's a first reading. Sorry, I should have had more water. But I do feel, I just want you all to know that bullying prevention has a very near and dear personal place in my heart. 17 years working in leadership, having seen some pretty atrocious incidents, I really feel, and I said this throughout my interview process, that there are times where we have to put ourselves in harm's way to protect our students, especially those vulnerable from the attacks of their peers or the staff members that were included when the bullying law was updated in 2014. So there was a significant expansion of who could be considered a bully. Also, we'll work to work on the actual bullying prevention and intervention plan for a future meeting. But I wanted to provide you with a first go at the actual policy, because our work is rooted in the policy, which this is rooted in the state law. For anyone watching or considering it, it's Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 37O, under the Education Acts.
Mayor Cahill.
Thanks, Madam President. Dr. Cushing, thank you. That was quite a lot. Thank you. I want to ask you about the annual training. I heard you say that the wording was ongoing and you're proposing switching it to annual. Want to be careful about kind of locking the district into annual training if a training is appropriately done less frequently. I just don't know, what do we utilize for bullying training? Is it a regular, and if it is annual, how is that presented? Like when and for whom and in what format, et cetera?
Yeah, it's part of our ArcSed online training for staff. I do want to work with the team to review and see what other options we can provide for staff throughout the year. Under the law, it is required to be done annually. So that is one thing that was mentioned in speaking with our attorneys at Lyons Law.
Makes it easy to add annual.
Yep.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yep.
Ms. Visnick.
I have two questions. At first, I want to say, yes, I want to see the red line. It's really hard to think about reviewing a document, hearing the changes in real time. My first question has to do with the need to review this particular policy every 2 years, whereas all our other policies are on a 5-year via our own policy. We say we review all our policies every 5. So with our queen retiring, how are we going to ensure that this particular one is called out and is on a different cycle? I'm very concerned about that, mostly because of the loss of institutional knowledge in that chair next to you. If she were staying, I'd have no worries whatsoever, right? So I don't expect an answer to that, but in this meeting, maybe when we bring this back for our next meeting for the second reading and a vote.
I do actually have an idea.
Okay.
That a school committee focused policy calendar through Google Calendar, that we could easily put these in and put reminders that would pop up in members' emails as well as central leadership team. That's one way that I could think of that, 2 months before a policy is due to be updated, there would be an automatic alert. So we just have, it's been quite the night with technology. I'm glad I could contribute to it. So I think that might be a relatively both easy and also tedious, just building that out as we go through. But I think that might be a really solid way to say, this, let's say hypothetically, this is approved on October 6th of 2025, or October 8th, sorry, 2025, that we would actually want to put that back for that alert to pop in June of 2027, so that we know, because we're off in the summer for school committee meetings, that we know that this is work that has to be done in the latter part of June and into September and October, so that we are on target for the 2-year approval. Also, just so that everybody's aware, it's in the law that this has to be reviewed every 2 years.
Right, I'm not contesting that at all. I don't mean to imply that I
Nope.
was contesting that. All right, so I don't want to go down the rat hole of implementation. I'll just say that I am a little hesitant with that idea because of the sheer number of policies that we have, and our little reminders will be going off every day. And when the reminders go off too often, people don't pay attention to them. So we can, as your policy chair, we can have some more discussions about that. My next question has to do with this policy versus this procedure.
Yep.
Meaning that we only get to control the policy and quote unquote, you get to control the procedure. So relative to switching out this form that you don't like with this packet that you do like, I wonder how that will be communicated with the staff and how that will be implemented. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll do training with the principals, assistant principals, and other people, other individuals who may be forward-facing on this. But this is one of the rare occasions where policy and procedure from MASC and the state really have been blurred. And while we definitely really try to keep, big P policy separate from little p procedure, and for those of you who know policy, know what I'm talking about, but this is one of the, I would say, slowly growing number of policies that also are very procedural. And I'll leave it at that. So I believe that the form is also meant to be approved by the body.
Thank you.
My
Dr.
big P and my little p are having issues mingling.
Okay. Dr. Mackenzie DeVranza, please.
Thank you. And I just have a process question myself. So we do have a policy subcommittee of the school committee. And I don't know if we do know, maybe with Ms. Bergeron here, we'll get to find out soon in the coming week, but I don't know when we did last review this policy. And we don't know whether, what parts we're keeping, what parts we're not keeping. So is this being referred to our subcommittee on policy, or is this full body going to review it without?
I think I can answer it. So we last approved it on July 1st, 2023, or we did it in June, effective July 1st, the new calendar year. So it's been a little bit over 2 years, and Dr. Cushing picked up on that, has brought it to this whole body. So the intention is to have this on our agenda for the committee of the whole for second reading.
Okay, that's helpful. And then, so typically when we do that out of the subcommittees, there's a side-by-side. Do we have that version?
I can send that to you. The attorneys recommended not, because it's attorney-client privileged work that was done in there. They recommended not sharing it publicly, but to share under attorney-client privileged with
I
the
don't
body.
think I understand.
Yeah.
So the policy in July 2023 was reviewed but not updated, right?
This is the clean copy of the reviewed copy. So the how the sausage is made, attorney-client privilege version, would show all of the red lines and strike-throughs. Dr. Cushing just spoke to us about them, and I think what Ms. Visnick has asked, because she wants to visually see the changes versus the oral representation. And it's
Why is that different than when we redline other things?
I think that's redlined internally or by the committee as opposed to the attorney working on it. It was a new, in full transparency, it was a new conversation for me as well. Also, I will be fully transparent that the Google version from Microsoft Word printed horribly. So that is just another thing that if I'm going to share it, I think it's best to share direct with you as opposed to print it out, because without having myself Microsoft Word, that was just a barrier to how it came out.
So it's less about the track changes, but about the attorney's comments and
Correct.
rationale.
Right.
Those would be
Right.
confidential and kept in.
So can we remove the comments and rationale?
Yes, so it sounds like you can create
that.
a track changes version that just shows the sys-diff, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful because without having the previous version in front of us, I mean, I'm sure there may be additional thoughts or comments we might have about it. So I think if we can just see where it's changed in the previous version, it's kind of like what we would do in the subcommittee, but I imagine we would just do that collectively.
Yep.
Because there may be changes that happen that we don't understand, and absent the comments, we might have to just talk amongst ourselves to make sure we understand why one change or another. But I just think the side-by-side would be super helpful.
I agree.
And obviously protect whatever is confidential or personal sort of reflections. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we'll see this again October 22nd.
And, sorry, so I just want to take a few minutes to comment. The opening of school, I've commented on it previously. I've been so impressed. While I was unable to attend parts of the homecoming dance, I was able to show up as they were setting up. And it was just really great to see so many students involved, the parents that were involved as well, Miss Flaherty, and just the other members of the school committee really coming out to make sure that that event happened and happened well. People even worked throughout the day because they did not have a DJ, and we're going to be using a Spotify playlist. However, they were able to secure a DJ at 3 o'clock that day. And so I look forward to partnering with the high school in the future because I think these types of events are so important for our student body, and to make sure that we're finding ways to make what could be a really overwhelming experience for some students. Maybe there's a way we could provide a sensory appropriate homecoming experience simultaneous to the homecoming dance with a lot of bass and flashing lights and things like that. But just really thinking about how the Topsfield Fair put on a sensory day on Monday, and how do we make sure that when we say all, we mean all, and provide a real open door experience for these things. I was really impressed with how they decorated and how they provided for a really great night. And from hearing from students and staff, it seemed exactly like it was that. I also wanted to talk on the Cove AIM Fair. I've heard really good positive feedback on that, and want to make sure that we are working with our North Beverly partner, with our North Beverly school as well, that also has AIM students. So how are we going to really make sure that we look at what went well and how can we expand and grow for the future on that? So that AIM Fair was last week. It was mentioned earlier about Freaky Friday. We also have Pride and Prejudice coming. Freaky Friday will be the spring musical, and Pride and Prejudice, I don't have the dates right in front of me, is coming up in the next couple of months, and I'll make sure that goes in my weekly update very soon. I do also want to take a moment, and hopefully I'm able to share my screen this time. Let me just try to find it. We have coming up next week, on October 16th, and this will go in my weekly update memo. Also, any feedback on that is always appreciated. Let me just try to find it. Sorry, I am the victim of too many tabs. All right, and if I can share, please share this time. So come out and defeat your undefeated Beverly Panthers Unified Basketball Team. 4:30 in the field house next week on October 16th versus North Reading. Unified sports is a really important thing for school districts. It's a really great way for students in special education and general education to come together and participate. I've seen in my experience, schools have unified bocce, unified track and field. So I really look forward to partnering with Ms. Spolansky, CPAC, and anyone else who's interested in really helping us expand. Looking back in work that I was attempting to do other places, I just want to pull it up here on my phone real quick. I would love for us to become a Special Olympics Unified Champion school. And I'm happy to share with the committee a specific printout on that. But basically, really looking for inclusive youth leadership, whole school engagement, and sustainability over time for our students with special needs to not only feel included, but to be truly included and to be part. If you've never been to a unified sports game, it's an absolutely amazing experience. I really look forward to building this as part of our culture more than it already is, and seeing where we can expand and what ways we can grow in the future. Don't get me wrong, I know that resources are sometimes tough, but this is a program that I've just seen schools rally around. And it's really amazing when you walk into a gymnasium and you see an entire side of bleachers pulled out. Usually you keep the bleachers closed behind the students because of any sensory issues or things like that. But an entire side of bleachers pulled out and a pep band or cheerleaders and, other students there to support them. So to support our students participating. So hopefully everyone can clear their schedules next week at 4:30 to come on out Thursday and support our student athletes. And if you can't, we'll work to make sure there are other opportunities. That is what I have right now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cushing. Okay, moving to our chair updates. I'm going to take things out of order because I realize Ms. Gauker has been with us. And the next item I'd like us to take up is the school committee spring 2026 draft schedule. While we have Delia with us, we had our student advisory council meeting at 5 p.m. We had decided for our fall schedule to make it remote only at 5 p.m. to hopefully increase opportunity for participation for those members who weren't coming for CISL, who maybe were leaving work or had other obligations. They couldn't make the 6 o'clock time that we used to have. And since we started our CISL now at 6:15, so Ms. Bergeron put together a perspective calendar for the spring school committee. And we have included a student advisory meeting at 5 p.m. remotely, but I don't know if Ms. Gauker, you want to make any recommendations before we make a motion on posting this calendar?
Sure. So we discussed earlier working to increase the student participation in the student advisory committee, and really trying to grow that, make it more of a group, taking in input from different students throughout the high school. And I think that the remote platform was an interesting idea, and we really thought it would help gain more students coming, but I've noticed that I think it's actually harder to get people to attend remotely. I think something about it feels less official or more confusing when it and when it's will you come in person to this thing to meet with the school committee. It's something more students want to do. So when Dr. Cushing and I work to present this to other students or to ask various club leadership to come join and be a part of this, I think that having it in person would be a helpful way to convince people to come. So I think we had thought maybe it would be in person here, still on the even month Wednesdays, but either at CISL starts at 6:15, so either 5:30 or 5:45, depending on what people thought was best for timing, because it's typically a 30-minute meeting.
Thank you so much. I don't know if any members want to ask any clarifying questions before we entertain a motion on our calendar and make any adjustments. I will add just a point of information that the Student Advisory Council is required under Mass state law that we meet with our students and that they have direct access to the school committee. So in addition to the role that Delia plays here at the table as a member of the body, we also have these meetings. Typically, we hear from the student body at the high school level. There may be other opportunities, Dr. Cushing has mentioned, to have even more student voice at even the middle school level, but for the intention of just posting this meeting schedule, it sounds like having that as an in-person option at either 5:30 or 5:45 might provide more students an incentive to be here to meet with us in person. Mayor Cahill. Sure.
I want to make the motion for 5:30. Sorry, but before I make it, I think we should make it for 5:30, not 5:45, since everything kind of bumps up against each other in those evenings. So I'll make a motion that those student advisory committee meetings are to be held in person at 5:30 PM.
Second.
Okay. Before we solidify on that motion, do we want to still provide the hybrid option, or those are typically not broadcast on BevCam, so it would be like an in-person only?
I think keeping it non-broadcasted on BevCam is nice because I think it's going to be much harder to get students to feel comfortable sharing when they know it's on television and all of their teachers and friends could go watch it. So I think, but I don't know if it could be hybrid, but also, I don't know.
We can make special exception. Beverly does have permission to have remote participation, just
Yeah.
it wouldn't be okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were focusing on the in-person, not broadcast. It's just,
I do wonder though, like tonight, it was very hard for people to participate remotely. So I think probably a primarily in-person format.
okay. And then, Mayor, if I could ask, would the rest of the schedule be part of your motion, or we'll take that up separately? So the schedule has been provided.
Move approval of the schedule with the amendment of making the two listed February and April student advisory meetings, 5:30 PM starts in person
In
only.
person. Yes, that would be a preferred motion.
Got it, made.
Okay, and I think I heard
Second.
Dr. Silva seconding that. Okay, so that's our motion. Is there further discussion about that update or any of the other dates? I know Ms. Bergeron spends a lot of time looking at our calendar. We will have a public hearing that needs to be, oh, it's already added, great.
Madam President?
Yes.
Looking ahead to budget, would the expectation be that a budget vote would be later that evening or potentially at a special?
At a yeah.
But wouldn't be waiting 2 weeks after that?
Correct.
In terms of timing?
Yes,
Got
we
it.
might have a special that evening or special. We could put it on the agenda with an asterisk for a vote, and if we don't think we're ready to vote, we could schedule a special.
Okay. Thanks.
Or the school committee could. Gotcha. No further discussion. We have a motion on the table to move the student advisories to 5:30 in person. All those in favor? The rest of the schedule, we can post that. Thank you, Ms. Bergeron. Oh, you abstained? Okay, so you're abstaining. Okay, so 6-1. Okay, thank you. And if you need to go do homework, I'm sure you have like 1,000,002 things to do. Next, for the school committee chair, we're bringing back, thank you, Ms. Gauker. We're bringing back the policies we had at the table in our last committee of the whole meeting on the 24th of September. These were BK, the school committee member, oops, I'm missing BJ. BJ is School Board Legislative Program, BK is the school committee memberships, CCB is Line and Staff Relations, and CE is the Administrative Councils, Cabinets, and Committees. I'm not sure what happened to my copy of BJ. Probably still in the packet. I think we had agreed to mark these as reviewed unless anyone was bringing forward any suggested changes tonight.
Motion to approve. As reviewed. Mark is reviewed? Yeah, I guess, yes. That's the
Second.
language we use.
Okay.
Want to do one at a time?
We can do them as a collection. So, BJ, BK, CCB, and CE, marked as reviewed or as marked with the pronoun changes.
Right.
So that was Ms. Visnick, and did I hear a second from Kenan? Okay. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor? That's a 7-0. And the time is 9:15 p.m. That's October 8. Okay. And then finally, just a reminder, our next meeting together will be on October 22nd. We'll meet with our Finance and Facility Subcommittee, Standing Committee at 6:15, and then Committee of the Whole will convene at 7:30 here in the Beverly Middle School Library. If I could ask our standing committees to report out, we'll start first with Finance and Facility, Ms. Visnick.
Finance and Facilities, I saw you, Kim. Finance and Facilities last met 2 weeks ago on September 24th. We had as our guest the head of the Building and Grounds Department, Mr. Coffey, and we were treated to meeting Mr. Coffey's newly hired assistant, Jay Nardella. The big kind of takeaway from our meeting was Mr. Coffey gave us a readout and an update on the summer pilot that we all agreed to do at Beverly High to reduce, to try to have a rodent management program. He did report that the plan was successful. We had both our resident science guru, Dr. Silva, and our citizen rep science guru, Mr. Manzo, kind of push on the, shall we say, scientific portion of the data collection. And there's only so much you can control for. And so that said, Mr. Coffey did think that it was successful. He asked if he could, all right, so all the traps have been removed. Just remind all of you that we talked at length about the fact that we have a plan relative to using what I'll classify as poisons anywhere on our property, including rodenticide. And so the traps did have rodenticide in them. We talked about the fact that the state is looking at banning those materials. Until such time that they're banned, we're just keeping that in mind. In the meantime, all the traps have been removed and they've been safely stored. Mr. Coffey wants to know if he could potentially redeploy them if he sees an uptick in rodent activity. The FNF body voted to say yes to that. We made a motion that included adding a tool to his quote-unquote tool belt, which is a specific kind of collection bucket. There's pros and cons to that, but basically the big pro is that you have to be a little rodent ninja to get into to possibly climb up and get in the bucket, but then the lid tips and you're trapped in the bucket, and which would then give us more scientific data around being able to count how many rodents were collected. So FNF voted for that. I would like to make an official request that maybe at our next meeting, we have for this body a vote for the body of the whole to, again, we have to vote on that because we have the policy that says we don't use any kind of pesticides even on our grass. I would like to respectfully ask this body to really think about the kind of questions you would want to ask when that vote comes in front of us, because maybe we would want or need Mr. Coffey here. So I ask you to please invest the time to watch the videotape from 2 weeks ago with Mr. Coffey, see the kind of questions that were already asked, and if you have any additional questions, forward them to Ms. Puglisi and I, so we can see if we can, ahead of time, get answers and not make Mr. Coffey come here on an evening if he doesn't need to. Let's see. We also talked about, in addition to our normal business, we discussed our commitment to try to be much more explicit in our content related to budget planning. So really, pretty much every single meeting, we're doing budget planning, and we've not been, I don't know, it just becomes regular business to us. And if you're on FNF, we just kind of go through the motions. So as an example, next meeting in 2 weeks from now, we expect to have a conversation around what's happening at the federal level, specifically the government shutdown, and the changes to entitlement grants. And one very tangible example is that Title I has been announced that it's going to be cut by 26%. The impact of that cut at the federal level translates into approximately $170,000 for the city of Beverly. And so having those conversations and being very explicit about them very early on is one of our goals for this year, so that almost like we have as a body the no surprises rule. I feel like some members of the public have complained that they feel like there are surprises. And so we're just going to try to be, I'm looking at you, Ms. Puglisi, we're going to try to be much more explicit in quote unquote advertising that, by the way, this particular topic on our agenda relates directly to budget planning. Okay, so we're scheduled to next meet in 2 weeks from now, Wednesday, October 22nd at 6:15 in this room and via BevCam. And in the meantime, we have a lot of things that need votes. So we're bringing forward for a first reading 3 policies. I had the alphabetic letters too. Foxtrot Alpha, Foxtrot, the naming of facilities, and Foxtrot, I got nothing, CB. Charlie Bravo. Those are the easiest ones. I should know those. Retirement of facilities. So those are in your packet for a first reading. And next meeting we'll take a vote on them. They have minor. Each of them has really just minor updates as we saw tonight with the policies that Ms. Abel brought forward. Standing Committee on Finance and Facilities has recommends approval of the attached gifts to schools, which total, I'm going to put them together. In May, $16,904.87. In June, $30,769.50. And in the summer months of July and August, $5,511.97. That is my motion that we accept those gifts with gratitude.
Second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Visnick and Ms. Robinson. We have a motion and a second to accept with gratitude all of those gifts to schools. Are there any questions? All those in favor of accepting? 7-0. Thank you.
Standing Committee on Finance and Facilities recommends the approval of the attached budget transfers that are in your packet, numbers 2367 and 2387.
We have a motion and a second to accept the budget transfers as presented, 2367, 2387. All those in favor? 7-0.
2 more people. Here we go. Hold on. Standing Committee on Finance and Facilities recommends approval of attached Beverly High and Beverly Middle School student activity accounts. I'll just remind everybody, it's just bookkeeping that every time like a graduating class leaves, they have a bank account, that account needs to be closed. The incoming class sets up their own class of 20 whatever, and that the creation of that account needs to be approved by this body. And so what we've done, one of the last things Jean helped us do before we left was to set these up at the beginning of the year, look at them, approve them, and then review them at the end of the year. So this is that reviewal for this particular academic school year.
So moved.
I will second, but I do have a quick question.
Yep.
I think there was one account name that we were, foreign language, that we were looking to move to world language. So with that amendment, friendly amendment?
I am going to bring forward to our next FNF meeting.
Okay.
Preview, the change of that name, just so that we can officially have it documented, sort of the closing of that and the opening of that, just to make sure that our bookkeeping is really tidy for when
Fair
those
enough.
go
Then
through an audit.
no friendly amendment for me. Are there other questions or concerns about this list of student account names? All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you.
And our last one, the Standing Committee on Finance and Facilities recommends the approval of the attached grants, acceptance of the attached grants totaling $2,738,021.
So moved.
That is my motion. I'm sorry.
So moved.
You can second it.
Okay, second.
Thank you, Ms. Visnick and Ms. Coelho for the second. Are there any questions about these grants? All those in favor?
All right, that's it for FNF land.
I almost counted Mr. McCauley. I thought you were raising your hand for a moment. Thank you. 7-0. Okay. Next, I would appreciate if our Standing Committee on Curriculum Instruction and Student Life Chair, Dr. Kenna McKenzie, would report out on our meeting this evening.
Thank you. So some of us have been together for a while. All right, so I'm going to be really concise here. So we had some updates today from our students, which is always wonderful to hear. We have middle schoolers and high schoolers represented. We also heard about our professional development days experiences from a couple of our teachers who had a really positive experience. One of the areas they looked over was the ZERN curriculum, where they worked collaboratively to essentially customize it for first grade and what they needed to do. So heard some good feedback about that. We also discussed the competency determination process, which is underway, and we talked about this in one of our previous meetings as well. We also talked about the new CTE policy for the middle school. And finally, we shared the results for the survey for the future topics we'll be covering in CISL. We did also get to mark one policy as reviewed, which is the one for Program for Students with Disabilities. However, 2 other policies that were up for discussion will be subjected to just some minor edits based on some really good feedback we had in our discussion today. Our next meeting will be November 12th was today. And that is my update.
Okay. And I believe you're bringing forward for first reading tonight 2 policies, IHA, Basic Instructional Programming, and IHAI, Occupational Education, which, if I remember correctly, were passed along to this body as reviewed?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have a second opportunity to take a bite at the apple at our next meeting, October 22nd.
Great.
Thank you. For the negotiating subcommittee, as I reported out last time, we will need to meet soon. We have been working with our attorney on just getting basic paperwork and forms together, as we will be entering negotiations with our AFSCME units, including a new unit request. And I will work with the negotiating subcommittee and our AFSCME friends on dates for that to occur. And policy review?
We have not met. I brought forward a few things in previous meetings that have gotten shipped right over to the superintendent, mostly because they involve legal reviews. So I don't have anything from MASC that says we need to take anything under advisement that isn't already passed to the superintendent's office.
Great. Okay, our final agenda item for this evening is an opportunity for school committee members to put on the table communications that they've received. Ms. Visnick.
Kind of like Dr. Cushing said earlier, a lot of positive feedback about, and our student rep also said this, about the enthusiasm of the student body out on the field under the lights, and how well received that has been. Some positive feedback about how involved you have been in the community events. It's great to hear. And kind of a warning, tomorrow is walk to school day. So if you're watching at home and you're a commuter, please plan accordingly, because there will be long lines of students, certainly in Centerville, but I think a couple of the other schools are also doing walk to school day tomorrow.
I understand some delayed from today to tomorrow
Yes.
because of the weather this morning. Okay, thank you for that reminder. I will pile on to Ms. Visnick's comment. I did hear a lot of positive feedback about the weekly briefings, emails, links, information that's been going out. I did hear a request this morning at an event I was attending that there was a desire to to spread it even more widely to the community, because there's a lot of great things happening in our district, and there's a lot of important information being highlighted in your weekly memo. So something for you to consider. I think we heard from our student reps earlier that the Fall Frolic is this Sunday. It's a very important fundraiser for our elementary school PTOs. It's a great opportunity also to walk the talk about our commitment to our students' health and well-being. They offer an opportunity for students to do a fun run as well as a 5K opportunity. It's also a great community building event at our beautiful Lynch Park. If you have not yet registered, I believe they're taking some last-minute registrations, and that the fun run is pretty much open. Hopefully the weather will remain as beautiful as it has been over the past few weekends. Slight chance of showers on Sunday, but we look forward to seeing folks out on Sunday. I guess that's another traffic advisory as well, because that is run through the Cove and that general neighborhood. So anyone else have something to bring to the table? I saw Mark Cahill and then Ms. Robinson.
You can go first.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, Ms.
I think we should just show our appreciation for our mom ball teams this year and how much they got so much press. I believe it was their 20th year. My very best friend started the mom ball league many years ago, and it's grown so much. And congratulations to the Beverly High School teams for their wins. Teams. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for that.
It was a great weekend. And wow, last night at the library, our high school, middle school librarians, Barb Fecto and Alex Wozniak, and then our Beverly Public Library team librarian, Katie Martin, they did amazing work. That the students did amazing work on the artwork that went along with their summer reading assignments, and it's just such a joy to spend time in that setting. It was really creative and wonderful, and thanks especially to the librarians for making sure that the event to celebrate the students happens.
Just taking one last look. Anything else to lay on the table? Okay. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Visnick. I think we're all having too much fun. Not debatable. All those in favor? 7-0. The time is 9:33 p.m. We are adjourned. We thank BevCam, and for those viewers at home, as well as the viewers that joined us here in person for the entirety. Thank you.